Chapter 634. No words could describe this process because it was a miracle in itself. However, Song Baiching could not see this miracle. He looked at the motionless Xia Lei, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Mr. Xia, can't you calculate it? It's okay. Don't force yourself. After all, this is a difficult math problem. Suddenly, Charlotte looked up at Song Baiching and said, "Don't use your IQ to measure me. Thank you." You. Song Baiching was furious. Charlotte suddenly picked up a pen and solved the problem quickly. Song Baiching's eyes widened in disbelief. Then, he couldn't help but open his mouth and couldn't close it. This was not only because of Charlotte's speed, but also because of the problem itself. This problem was one of the 7 major mathematics problems in the world, Riemann's hypothesis. This mathematics problem was considered to be the pinnacle of mathematics in the 20th century. It was also one of the world's 7 major mathematics problems by the Clay Mathematics Institute. It was created in 1859, and no one had solved it for more than a century and a half. Its significance and difficulty could be imagined. But now, Xia Lei was solving this unparalleled problem at a speed that was as fast as calculating what 1 plus 1 was equal to. Before coming here, Song Baiching was still questioning Xia Lei's IQ of 298, but now he felt like a little kid who had just learned how to count in front of Xia Lei. If Charlotte was a towering tree, then he was just a weed under this towering tree. 10 minutes later, Xia Lei handed Song Baiching the A4 paper that was filled with content on the back. Song Baiching was still in a trance state. Okay, this problem is a bit difficult, but it's not as difficult as I thought. I solved it, but I don't think you can understand it. Take it and ask the mathematician. Let him tell you if I got it right, said Charlotte. Only then did Song Baiching come back to his senses. He looked at Charlotte with a strange expression. That, Mr. Xia, don't you know the origin of this question? Charlotte rolled his eyes at Song Baiching. I'm not a mathematician. I'm in the military. I'm good at machining and electrical engineering. Do you think I'm so bored that I'll solve math problems for fun? Song Baiching's lips moved. He wanted to say something, but didn't. Okay, I'm going to work. You may leave. Charlotte turned around and entered the workshop. The door to the workshop closed automatically. Song Baiching was stunned for a long time before he turned around and left. Now, there was no longer any doubt in his heart. Charlotte wasn't the smartest person in the world. His proof of Riemann's hypothesis was a huge piece of evidence. With this evidence, he could put a perfect end to his errand. A moment later, a Hongqi sedan drove out of the Thunderhorse military factory and headed towards the capital city. Mr. Z, Charlotte, what happened? He solved Riemann's hypothesis. What Riemann's hypothesis? Mr. Z's voice came from the phone. Here's the thing. According to Fanfan's report on Charlotte's IQ, I asked a mathematician to find me a difficult problem. That mathematician found me this Riemann's hypothesis. No one has been able to solve it for nearly 2 centuries, but he only used 10 minutes. Song Baiching's voice sounded like he was sleepwalking. The phone went silent for a second before Mr. Z said, "Are you sure he got it right?" 80%. When a mathematician gave me this problem, he also gave me some information about other people solving the problem. There was some information on how to solve the problem. I observed Charlotte's process of solving the problem, and some of the information appeared. Of course, the final result has to be determined by the mathematician. Give me Fanfan's research report and Charlotte's Riemann's hypothesis. I'm on my way. See you later, Mr. Z. Song Baiching put down the phone. He stepped on the gas pedal, and the car sped on the road. A few hundred meters later, a motorcycle followed from afar. The rider of the motorcycle was Charlotte, who solved Riemann's hypothesis. Song Baiching left the Thunderhorse Army factory. Where would he go? This was what Charlotte wanted to know. Although he survived this crisis, he knew that this was not the end. As long as the ZN Bureau existed, it would pose a threat to him. He had to know more information about the ZN Bureau. He had to know where the ZN Bureau was and what kind of people were in the ZN Bureau. Only by understanding his opponent could he defeat his opponent. The motorcycle sped on the road. A few hundred meters was an absolutely safe distance. Even if Song Baiching was more cunning than a fox, and his anti-tracking ability was better than the agents of 101 innings, he wouldn't notice that someone was following him. Not only did Charlotte deliberately keep a few hundred meters away from Song Baiching, but he also wore a human skin mask on his face. His opponent was not only Song Baiching, but also the ZN Bureau. He had to be careful. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. As the motorcycle sped, Charlotte's phone suddenly rang. Who would call it this time? Charlotte took out his phone, looked at it, and then answered the call. Brother Lay, where did you go? It was Fan's voice. I have something to do. What's up? Charlotte slowed down the motorcycle. He controlled the direction with one hand and answered the phone with the other. I want to talk to you. I went to the workshop to find you, but you weren't there. We'll talk when I come back. I'm driving, Charlotte said. Okay, then I'll wait for you. Fan hung up the phone. Charlotte put away his phone, but he was thinking, what does she want to talk to me about at this time? Song Baiching was indeed more cunning than a fox. Even if he didn't notice the stalker, he maintained a high degree of vigilance and even used some anti-tracking methods. He drove the car to the east and to the west, making a big circle in the capital city, before finally driving the car into a large compound with machinery. Charlotte stopped his motorcycle 300 meters away. The compound was inconspicuous. There were soldiers with guns standing guard at the gate. Behind the gate was a 3-story office building that looked like it was built in the 50s or 60s. It was very old. The walls were covered with creepers, and it was like a green coat of the office building. The compound wasn't big, but it was filled with plants. The plants were also very old. Many of the trees' crowns were even above the office building, like giant umbrellas on top of the office building. Vines and trees. Even a spy satellite wouldn't be able to capture such a place. Charlotte's gaze moved to the gate. He saw a sign with the words Jing City Meteorological Monitoring Center. Such a compound with such an unpopular sign. Even if the residents passed by it every day, they wouldn't look at it, and no one would go in to ask about the weather in the next few days. If there was a flaw in this place, it would be the soldiers standing at the gate with live ammunition. Is this the mysterious ZN Bureau? Charlotte got out of the car and pushed the motorcycle forward slowly. His gaze was locked on the old office building. As he got closer and closer to the gate, his left eye twitched slightly. The walls of the building quickly melted like snowflakes under the sun, and the space behind the wall came into his sight. There were offices with staff and office equipment. The scene of his staff working seemed very quiet and efficient. The equipment also looked very advanced, not something that ordinary companies or agencies could have. Charlotte started from the 3rd floor, then the 2nd floor, and finally the 1st floor. It only took him 3 minutes to complete the X-ray vision of the entire building. When he was on the 1st floor, his gaze suddenly stopped in an office. At that moment, his head seemed to be hit hard with a wooden hammer. Song Baiching was in that office, standing straight in front of a person. This person was not unfamiliar to Charlotte, and he even had a deep friendship with this person. This person was Ling Hao. Ling Hao's face came into view, and bits and pieces of information about this person also emerged in Charlotte's mind. At first, Ling Hao came into his sight as a special assistant in the first office, and Ling Hao also gave him a lot of help in his struggle with Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. During that period, he regarded Ling Hao as his friend, and even regarded Ling Hao as his brother. But now all of this collapsed. At the beginning, when I began to touch the ancient alloy, my dad warned me that someone had been targeting me. Now it seems that the person my dad was talking about at that time was probably Ling Hao. Charlotte's heart was filled with complicated feelings. In this world, who could believe it? Men didn't care about loyalty because the weight of loyalty was too low. Women didn't care about loyalty because they were not tempted enough. This sentence would make most people feel disgusted and unable to agree, but it was a true portrayal of the real world. However, compared to the damage brought to him by Liang Xiao and Shinda Tianin, this was nothing to Charlotte. Charlotte's eyes were locked on Ling Hao and Song Baiching's lips. He used the lip-reading technique to decipher their conversation while slowly pushing the motorcycle. Mr. Z, this is the research report and the Riemann hypothesis that Charlotte solved, said Song Baiching as he handed the folder to Ling Hao. Ling Hao opened the folder and took out all the things inside. He first looked at Charlotte's Riemann hypothesis. Mr. Z, on the way here, I took a picture of Charlotte's Riemann hypothesis and sent it to the mathematician who helped me. He looked at it, and he said, what did he say? He said, this is a mathematical miracle. Charlotte used the simplest method to solve this mathematical problem that no one has been able to solve for nearly 200 years. He also said that we should announce this matter to the public. This will allow our country's mathematics community to hold their heads high in the world and obtain the highest honor. Short-sighted, tell him to shut up. Song Baiching said, I've already warned him that he won't say anything without our permission. No wonder he can achieve so much. His IQ is 298. But I don't think it's that simple. What's wrong? Ling Hao looked out the window and muttered to himself. At the same time, at the main entrance, a soldier armed with live ammunition suddenly shouted at Xiaolei, who was pushing his motorcycle and walking slowly. What are you doing? Xiaolei retracted his gaze and smiled apologetically. Bro, I'm sorry. My car suddenly stalled. It's probably because of the spark plug. The soldier said coldly, Stop looking around. Get out of here. Okay, I'll go right away, said Charlotte as he sped up. Although he had been scolded by this warrior, he had gained a lot this time. He found the headquarters of the ZN Bureau. He knew who Mr. Z was. Chapter 635. After leaving the ZN Bureau, Charlotte did not stay in Jingdu. He returned to the Thunder Horse military factory. Although he had left that place, Ling Hao's appearance still lingered in his mind. Ring, 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 ring. As he walked to the villa, Charlotte's cell phone suddenly rang. Charlotte thought it was Fan, but when he took out his cell phone and looked at it, it was not. This call was from Ling Hao. Ring, 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 ring. The cell phone rang, and he continued to think. Charlotte was still wondering why Ling Hao would call him at this time. After the cell phone rang for about 30 seconds, Charlotte answered the phone. Hello, Brother Ling. What brings you here? Huh. Ling Hao smiled. Why should I be polite to you? Do I have to pick a time to call you? If I want to call you, I'll call you. I'm not afraid of wasting your time. You don't say. I've been really busy these days, Xiaolei said. After a few words of courtesy, Ling Hao said, Charlotte, is the upgrade of the Thunder Horse military factory going well? It's okay. You know I'm good at it. Charlotte said with a smile, I'm going to upgrade all the technology of rain metal. You'll see the upgraded version of rain metal soon. Its name is Thunder Horse Military Factory. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to see your factory, Wang Yao said. Come on, I'll cook in the evening. Get up early and have a good meal. Let's have a few drinks. Let's talk about it in 2 days. I have a job to deal with. I actually want to ask you something this time. I don't know if you'd like to tell me. Ling Hao's words had a hidden meaning. Charlotte also laughed twice. Brother Ling, you see, you treat me as an outsider. What can we talk about? What's the matter? Tell me. As long as I know, I'll tell you. Ling Hao was silent for a moment before he said, Well, I heard that you're in some trouble. Who's causing trouble for you? Tell me. I might be able to help you. If he had not followed Song Baiching, Charlotte would have been touched by Ling Hao's words. However, when he saw Ling Hao and Song Baiching together, he knew that Ling Hao's other identity was Mr. Z. Now, hearing Ling Hao's words, he didn't feel good at all. In fact, he felt a little disgusted. However, on the surface, Charlotte still looked very grateful. Thank you, Brother Ling. You've always taken care of me. Thank you very much. Look at you. You're being polite with me again. Don't be so polite. Tell me, who's causing trouble for you? Charlotte was silent for a moment before he said, It's a person called Song Baiching. I don't know where he came from, but I'm guessing that his background isn't small. Song Baiching really is a stranger. How do you know he has a powerful background? Charlotte said, Even the Science Institute's Fan Yiming and Elder Fan have to listen to him. How could his background be small? What do you know about this person? Charlotte frowned. I asked Tang Yuyin to help me investigate, but she couldn't find anything. Song Baiching's file was encrypted. I owe Tang Yuyin a favor because of this. Things didn't work out, and I still have to return the favor. I was depressed for a few days because of this. Even Tang Yuyin couldn't find anything, so he must have a powerful background. But don't worry about it. Leave it to me. I'll help you investigate. Thank you, Brother Ling. If you can investigate, then do it. If you can't, then forget it. This matter is over, and this person's background isn't that important to me anymore. Charlotte said, and I'll try. That's it. Talk to you later. Ling Hao hung up the phone. Charlotte was still holding his phone in a daze. The purpose of Ling Hao's call at this time was obvious. Ling Hao was testing how much he knew about Song Baiqing and the Xian Bureau. If I tell him that I know who Song Baiqing is, I know where the Xian Bureau is, and I even know that he is Mr. Z. What will he do? Xiao Lei couldn't help but speculate. However, even with his super brain, he couldn't guess the outcome of doing so. Of course, he wouldn't be stupid enough to have a showdown with the Xian Bureau and Ling Hao at this time. Ling Hao? Mr. Z? Maybe it's not his real name. Who is he? Charlotte couldn't control his brain to think about these things related to Ling Hao. Fan Fan came from the direction of the villa and called from afar, Mr. Xia. Charlotte came back to his senses, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Then he walked over to Fan Fan. His relationship with Fan Fan still had to be kept secret. The reason was very simple. He and Fan Fan couldn't be public just because Song Baiqing left. In this case, the first thing Ling Hao and Song Baiqing would do would be to reject the research report given by Fan Fan, and then find a bioengineer to study his body again. Two Special Forces guards standing in front of the villa looked at Fan Fan and Charlotte. They might have received secret orders to secretly monitor Charlotte and Fan Fan and monitor everything here. Charlotte was also very cautious. He said, Miss Fan, what can I do for you? Well, it's like this. I have a good idea about our research. Let's go to your underground laboratory to talk. Fan Fan's reaction was also very calm and normal. The two Special Forces guards at the door watched Charlotte and Fan Fan enter the villa expressionlessly. One of the Special Forces guards said, What's wrong with a person like Mr. Xia? The Colonel is really something. Let's keep an eye on Mr. Xia. Don't tell me he's going to steal his own things. The other Special Forces guard said, Don't complain. An order is an order. Just carry out the order. Hey, let me tell you something. Yesterday, a girl from the Thunder Horse Army factory asked me for my WeChat number. She looks pretty good. Do you have a picture? Let me see. People have 7 emotions and 6 desires, and Special Forces soldiers are no exception. No one could be a real machine. In the underground laboratory, Charlotte closed the anti-radiation alloy door. The whole underground laboratory suddenly became quiet, and no one or sound could disturb it. Just as he closed the door, Fan Fan suddenly burrowed into his arms and hugged him tightly, trembling in excitement and excitement. She had a special physique. Such an action was like a moth flying to a light, but she still did not look back. Charlotte picked her up and walked to the laboratory workbench. I don't want to hug you. What do you want to do? Fan Fan looked very nervous. She didn't even stop trembling. Because of her excitement, her skin also began to turn red and quickly spread. Charlotte smiled. I just want to hug you. Otherwise, what do you think I want to do? Fan Fan bit her lip. I changed my mind. Then I also changed my mind. Charlotte put Fan Fan on the stainless steel workbench and gently pushed her legs apart. He gazed in her vast eyes. His eyes were filled with gentleness, sweet affection, and gratitude. He was able to survive this crisis. Without Fan Fan's help, he could not have done it alone. At the beginning, he had conquered her with the purpose of using her. But now his heart was filled with gratitude. He had never been the kind of person who would burn bridges after crossing the river, so he was willing to give Fan Fan what she wanted. The intimate contact, the gentle gaze of love, these romantic elements were like tentacles touching Fan Fan's body, teasing the sensitive nerves all over her body. Before Charlotte could really touch her, she let out a moan and lay down on the cold workbench like soft mud. Her perky chest rose and fell rhythmically like waves. Her snow-white thighs were faintly red. The black miniskirt could no longer hide her secret scenery. There was a wet mark on the area that was wrapped in black lace, quietly exuding a mature and seductive aura. A flame quietly lit up in Charlotte's lower abdomen. This flame made his mouth dry, and he couldn't wait any longer. He pushed aside the black mesh cloth and very roughly moved forward. Half an hour later, the two of them quieted down, and the underground laboratory also returned to its previous tranquility. but the air was still filled with the smell of love, unwilling to disperse. In a moment, Fan Fan jumped down from the workbench, lifted her black lace, and then handed her phone to Charlotte. "Why did you give me the phone?" Charlotte asked curiously. Fan Fan woke up the screen. Charlotte's gaze moved to the screen. It was a photo of a research report. However, the research report on the phone was obviously not the one that Song Baiching had taken away, but the original one that hadn't been edited. As Fan Fan's slender fingers moved, Charlotte looked through the photos of the research report. In these photos, every index and data was far beyond that of a normal human, and some even reached the level of heaven-defying. Finally, Fan Fan's fingers stopped at a photo. This photo had Charlotte's IQ test data, but it wasn't 298 but 998. This value was almost 5 times that of Song Baiching and Ling Hao's knowledge. Charlotte couldn't guess what Fan Fan wanted to do. Only then did Fan Fan ask, "What are you?" Charlotte was stunned for a moment. Man, what else can I be?" "No, you are." After a pause, Fan Fan spat out a word, "God." "Are you kidding?" Charlotte laughed. "The information recorded in your genetic chain proves that you are evolving in the direction of absolute perfection. I have never seen such a perfect body. Your brain is even faster and more useful than today's computers. If you're not God, then what are you?" Charlotte was silent. His secret couldn't be hidden from this stunning bioengineer in front of him. Although he tried to weaken his own body's reaction when cooperating with her in the research, the result didn't change. Also, even your sperm, they also have the ability to go against the natural order. They contain the genetic blueprint that you engraved, but because they are all very powerful, they began to kill each other the moment they left your body. It is almost impossible for you to make a woman pregnant. This is simply... I can't describe it. Fan Fan, can you keep this secret from me? Charlotte faced reality. "Yes, but I have a condition." Fan Fan blinked her big eyes, and a sly smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. "What condition?" "Give me a child. I want to be pregnant with your child. I can't imagine how smart and powerful your child is, but I know that he must be a unique genius. I promise you." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "But since you know this situation, I don't know if I can make you pregnant. Have you forgotten what I do? I am a bioengineer. I will find a way to make me pregnant. I have decided I will now start my new research project. Little Lele Project." Charlotte. Fan Fan stared at Charlotte affectionately, and her soft lilac tongue slipped out of the corner of her mouth. She gently pursed it, and then said, "Have you rested enough? I'm going to sample." Charlotte. Chapter 636. Song Baiching left, and the trouble disappeared. Everything made way for the comprehensive upgrade of the Thunder Horse military factory. In the following time, Charlotte put all his energy into work. Tanks, artillery, and defense systems, as well as the second generation of Thunder Dragon Smart Machine Tool. These were all money-burning projects. Rema Group invested all the accumulated funds in the early stage, but the gap was still very large. Guan Lingshan calculated for Charlotte. Russia and Ukraine imported equipment, as well as recruiting-related technical personnel. The funding gap reached 20 billion. This amount of money could almost buy 2 Rema Group. The bank agreed to give a loan of 3 billion. In Charlotte's office, Guan Lingshan said to Charlotte, 3 billion. Charlotte frowned. How is that enough? Of course it's not enough. I've spoken to several bank executives. I also talked to them about the prospects of our company and future earnings, but they said that a loan of 20 billion was too much and they couldn't approve it, Guan Lingshan said. Xia Lei furrowed his brows. An investment of tens of billions was indeed a huge investment, and it carried a lot of risk. But that was for other investments. For Rema Group, the risk of this investment was almost zero. It wasn't that the bank heads didn't know this, but why didn't they approve the loan? Chairman Xia, why don't we find a foreign bank? Guan Lingshan said, or a venture capital company is fine. Charlotte thought for a moment. I'm afraid this isn't a problem that can be solved by finding a foreign bank or splitting candy. I'll make a trip myself. If it doesn't work, I'll think of another way. Okay, but Chairman Xia, we don't have much time. The relevant companies in Ukraine and Russia are urging us to pay the remaining amount. They said that if we don't pay them on time, they will detain the equipment at the port and their staff in China will stop working. Charlotte sneered. These Russians are really realistic. And I know. Tell them that Rima Group won't owe them a penny. The project can't stop. Do what needs to be done. Chairman Xia. Guan Lingshan hesitated for a moment before saying, Chairman Xia, why don't we find sister-in-law? Charlotte was stunned for a moment. Oh, that. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. I'm sorry, Chairman Xia. Guan Lingshan said timidly. Charlotte smiled. Why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything wrong. I know you also want to help me solve the problem, but you know that she and I are divorced. Even if my relationship with her is good, I can't ask her to borrow 20 billion yuan, right? What's more, even the Wanxiang Group doesn't have 20 billion in cash. Even if there was, Charlotte would not borrow it. Guan Lingshan said awkwardly, I understand. I won't call her sister-in-law anymore. Charlotte said, go to work. After the divorce, she was no longer his sister-in-law. There would always be such helplessness in life, and there would always be those who couldn't be held back. He had already let it go, so he would not walk the path of turning back. As soon as Guan Lingshan left, Charlotte received a call. It was Tang Yuyan's father, Tang Tianlong, who called. Charlotte, I'm Tang Tianlong, your Uncle Tang. Hee. Tang Tianlong smiled and was very friendly. Are you surprised to receive my call? Charlotte smiled. It turns out to be Uncle Tang. I can't be more than happy to receive your call. How can I be surprised? He had a problem with a loan, and Tang Tianlong called him. How could this be an accident? What are you busy with? Charlotte said, there's a problem with the loan. I'm dealing with it. Is it difficult? I need to borrow a lot of money, so it will be a little troublesome, but I think it should be solved, said Charlotte. Tang Tianlong said, if you need my help, just tell me. Don't be polite with your Uncle Tang. Okay, then I'll thank you first, but I don't need it for the time being. If I need it, I'll ask Uncle Tang. That's right. Uncle Tang, what's the matter? Charlotte probed. I'm here. Just tell me. No need to be polite with me. Tang Tianlong said, it's like this. It's my grandfather's 70th birthday. I want to invite you for a drink. That's a good thing. When? Tomorrow at the Sheraton Hotel. Okay, I'll definitely come tomorrow, said Charlotte. Come early. Tomorrow we'll have a good chat and drink a few cups. That's all. You do what you need to do. I still have to continue calling for my treat. Tang Tianlong hung up the phone. Charlotte sat in front of his office desk in a daze. Grandfather Tang's 70th birthday. Why did it have to be at this time? Moreover, under normal circumstances, it should be a few days in advance. It's tomorrow's birthday banquet. Why did he only come today? Fan Yiming appeared at the office door. He was holding a box in his hand. Charlotte's left eye slightly twitched. He saw what was inside the box. Inside the box was the compass from the Ming Dynasty. Even though he knew what was inside the box, he pretended not to know. Elder Fan, what's inside the box? The compass. Fan Yiming was very straightforward. He carefully placed the box on Charlotte's desk. Xiaolei opened the box, and the compass was revealed from within. Fan Yiming did not install the last pointer. It was placed next to the compass. Elder Fan, what is the meaning of this? I've been here for a month. I've been studying it every day, but I don't have a single clue. These 2 days I've thought about it a lot. I've thought it through and decided to give it to you. Fan Yiming said, you study it. You find the last hidden treasure. You are much more reliable than me in this matter. Elder Fan, is this your idea or... Charlotte did not finish his sentence. Mr. Xia, are you talking about Song Baicheng? Do you think this is Song Baicheng's idea? Charlotte did not say yes or no. Fan Yiming was a little angry. Mr. Xia, I know what happened last time made you feel uncomfortable. But it wasn't because of me. What happened last time had nothing to do with me. I'm a researcher. I hate politics more than you do. But sometimes we can't avoid it. Charlotte laughed. Elder Fan, don't be angry. I didn't mean it that way. There's no order from the leader. This is my idea. If you don't want it, I'll take it back. Fan Yiming was still a little angry. Charlotte quickly said, I'll take it. Elder Fan, don't be angry. You, me, and Fan, the three of us are members of the X Secret Gold Project. Everything we do is for this project. Fan Yiming calmed down. Then do you have a plan? Charlotte thought for a while and said, no. But after the Thunder Horse military factory is done, I'll have the time and energy to do this. It won't take long. At most, it'll take another 2 months. Okay, I'll go back to the Academy of Science. Let me know when you're done, and I'll come back. Fan will also go back with me. She has nothing to do here. Fan Yiming said, I'm not going back. Just as Fan Yiming finished speaking, Fan walked in from the door. She was wearing a white round-neck t-shirt and light blue denim shorts. She looked young and cute, sexy and enchanting. You're not going back? Why are you staying here? Fan Yiming stared at Fan with a confused look. Fan said, Mr. Xia is the only person who can touch the ancient alloy. I've been studying his brain waves. I suspect that his brain waves are compatible with the energy field of the ancient alloy. So I need to collect more of Mr. Xia's brain waves. Maybe I can solve this mystery. Fan Yiming was stunned for a while before saying, That's possible. Why didn't I think of it before? Charlotte's eyes couldn't help but move to Fan. The hypothesis she mentioned also piqued his interest. Indeed, in this world, only he could touch the ancient alloy. There must be a reason for this. And this reason was definitely not because he fixed the Ming Dynasty's compass. As for the treasure recognizing its master, that was a cliché plot in wuxia or fantasy novels. The possibility of this happening was almost zero. So, excluding the former and the latter, Fan's hypothesis was very likely to be true. Fan, if your hypothesis is true, what will it bring? We can artificially create a bioelectric magnetic field with a specific frequency. In other words, in this bioelectric magnetic field, every one of us can touch the ancient alloy. We can even use the bioelectric waves to study the ancient alloy and crack its secrets. Fan said. Before Fan explained this point, Charlotte thought she wanted to find an excuse to stay by his side and continue her little Lele plan. He didn't think that she was serious. In reality, Fan's hypothesis was only a hypothesis, but he already believed that this hypothesis had a high probability of being true. Not because of anything else, but because Princess Yong Mei was a pure energy body. Her communication with him had always been through brain waves. In this world, only he could see Princess Yong Mei, and only he could hear her voice. No wonder you're our family's Fan. Fan Yiming was excited. All this time, I've only studied the ancient alloy from the perspective of material science. I never thought that I would study it from the perspective of bioelectric waves. Your hypothesis is very good. I agree. You can stay. But you had to send me an email every day. I want to understand your research process. Okay, grandfather. Fan revealed a smile. You guys chat. I have to go back. Tomorrow is Tang Tianlong's 70th birthday. I have to prepare a gift for him. Fan Yiming said. Elder Fan, you also want to go tomorrow? I don't want to go, but Tang Tianlong personally called me. I have to give him face. Okay, I'm leaving. Fan Yiming said as he left. When he reached the door, he turned around and said to Fan, Remember, send me an email every day. Fan curled her lips. I know. I'm not a child. You don't need to remind me like this. He. Fan Yiming laughed and left. Until Fan Yiming disappeared from his sight, Charlotte said, Fan, how did you come up with this hypothesis? It's not a coincidence. You know, I've been studying your what? Fan felt dizzy. It's your tadpoles. I discovered that their bodies carry a very special thing. Every time I want to extract it, they disappear. I suspect that it's some kind of energy. Today's technology is unable to capture it. So I thought, could it be that your brain's brain waves resonated with the ancient alloy? That's why you can safely come into contact with the ancient alloy? Charlotte was silent for a moment. How do you plan to study it? Fan looked at the resting room and said with a red face, Let's go to the resting room. I'll give you a sample. Give me a sample? If I want to catch tadpoles. Charlotte. Chapter 637. Fan's hypothesis ushered in a glimmer of hope for Project X Mystic Gold. Charlotte did not object to Fanfan's research on his brain and bioelectric waves, because he wanted to crack the secret of ancient alloy and AE more than anyone else. Moreover, the person who was researching him was Fanfan, his woman. If there were any problems during the process, Fanfan would modify the data for him and change the results, which would not cause him any trouble. However, this was a hypothesis after all. Even if the research was conducted, it would not be able to produce results in a day or two. The next day, Charlotte put down all his work and drove to the capital. He first went to an antique shop and spent 50,000 yuan to buy a string of authentic Buddhist beads for Tang Yunhai. Then he went to the Sheraton Hotel. People who practice martial arts like things like Buddhist beads, and his gift of 50,000 yuan for a string of Buddhist beads was acceptable. On the way, he received a call from Tang Yuyin, and they chatted for a while. When he arrived at the Sheraton Hotel, Tang Yuyin was already waiting for him in the lobby. The navy blue Cheongsam outlined a nearly perfect S-shaped curve, with a voluptuous front and a curvy back. The black embroidered cloth high-heeled shoes and black stockings made a pair of beautiful legs look exquisite and sexy. Tang Yuyin's sexiness had a classical and aristocratic aura, which was different from the rest. However, Charlotte walked over, and under her classical, noble, and sexy appearance hid the heart of a fox. Tang Yuyin greeted him with a charming fragrance and a sweet smile on her jade-like face. "You came to celebrate my birthday. Why did you buy me a gift? You could have come empty-handed." Charlotte smiled. "It's old Master Tang's 70th birthday. If I came empty-handed, I would be too inconsiderate." Tang Yuyin took the brocade box containing the Buddhist beads, opened it, and smiled sweetly. "Wow, it's so beautiful. You spent 50,000 yuan on Buddhist beads for my grandpa, and he must be imagining things again." "Imagination?" Charlotte was puzzled. "What?" Tang Yuyin held Charlotte's arm. "He must be wondering if you're here to kidnap his precious granddaughter." "Charlotte, did this guy even need to be abducted? As long as she didn't kidnap him." He and Tianyin were divorced. From the perspective of a marriage between Tang Yuyin and a career match, it was actually the best choice for him and Tang Yuyin. Of course, Tang Yuyin thought so as well. Even the members of the Tang family thought so. However, his heart was already wrapped in a thick protective shell. No matter which woman wanted to marry him, they would have to break that shell first, and that was a very difficult thing to do. Charlotte himself couldn't feel this layer of shell. Before the birthday banquet started, Tang Yuyin brought Charlotte to the tea house of the hotel. The whole tea house had been booked, and the people drinking tea inside were all guests who came to celebrate Tang Yunhai's birthday. Some of those guests were political figures, and some were business figures. None of them were simple people. Charlotte greeted several familiar faces from the equipment department and chatted for a while. Tang Tianlong was naturally among them. When he saw his daughter holding Charlotte's hand intimately, like a couple, he couldn't help smiling. Such a reaction was normal. With Charlotte's current qualifications, whether it was his career or his own qualifications, he could almost conquer the parents of all girls in the world. "Yuyin, take Lazy to see the old master." The old master kept saying that he wanted to see Lazy last night, and I was annoyed by him. Tang Tianlong said with a smile. This was obviously said to Charlotte, to tell him how much the master of the Tang family liked him. Charlotte just smiled and followed Tang Yuyin to a private room. At this moment, the sound of chatting came from the door. Charlotte looked back and saw Ling Hao and a few people from the military entering the tea house. He was also familiar with those military figures. Back when he was fighting against Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, those military figures had helped him to a certain extent. Then, Charlotte saw Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. What are those two guys doing here? Actually, he was more concerned about Mu Jianfeng, Yi Kuan, and Ling Hao coming to celebrate Tang Yunhai's birthday. When he was fighting with Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, Ling Hao was on his side and had helped him a lot. Now, these three were walking together. What was going on? Ling Hao also looked over, and when his eyes met with Charlotte's, he smiled at Charlotte. Charlotte also smiled and called out to Ling Hao from afar. "Brother Ling, I'm going to see old Master Tang first. I'll talk to you later." Ling Hao smiled, go on, go on. When Charlotte turned around, the smile on his face disappeared. Tang Yin nudged Charlotte's waist with her elbow and said softly, I heard that there's a problem with your loan. Is that right? Charlotte was slightly stunned. How did you know? Last night, when I passed by my dad's study, he was on the phone, and I heard a little, Tang Yin said. Charlotte suddenly frowned. Not because of anything else, but because in terms of time, Tang Yin actually knew that there was a problem with Rema Group's loan before him. What did your dad say? Tang Yin looked a little nervous. Don't misunderstand. This has nothing to do with my dad. He is from the equipment department, but his position is not as high as you think. Charlotte smiled. I didn't misunderstand. I was just asking. If it's not convenient for you to tell me, then forget it. Tang Yin suddenly reached out to pinch Charlotte's waist and gave him a charming look. If I didn't want to tell you, why would I mention this to you? I only heard my dad's voice, and I don't know who called him. But according to what my dad said, I guess someone is deliberately making things difficult for you and refusing to give you the loan. Why? I don't know. My dad tried to plead for you, but to no avail, Tang Yin said. Charlotte's mood had become terrible. Tang Yunhai's voice came from the private room. What are you two whispering about outside? Come in. Tang Yin led Charlotte into the private room. In the private room, Tang Yunhai was sitting at the tea table by the window, sipping tea. Tang Yin's mother, Zhang Yumei, was making tea for Tang Yunhai. Upon seeing Charlotte come in, she said with a smile, Lei Zi, come and have a seat. Have a taste of my tea art. Thank you, Auntie, said Charlotte very politely. You brat, you haven't come to see me for such a long time. Is my Tang family's threshold that high? Tang Yunhai glared at Charlotte. He was obviously angry, but his eyes were full of happiness. Charlotte said with a smile, Grandpa Tang, I've been wanting to see you for a long time, but I've been too busy with work. Oh, that's right. I prepared a string of Saosi Wang Wali for you. I don't know if you like it or not. Tang Yin then handed the brocade box containing the Saosi Wang Wali Buddhist beads to Tang Yunhai and said with a crisp voice, Grandpa, I've seen it. The Buddhist beads Leicester prepared for you are very beautiful. The tiger's skin has a pattern of eyes, and the oil is good. It's obviously an old material. What do you know? Go to the side. Tang Yunhai glared at Tang Yin again. Girls are extroverted. You're already speaking up for this brat? Grandpa. Tang Yin acted like a spoiled child. Tang Yunhai picked up the Buddhist beads Charlotte gave him, fiddled with it for a moment, and then wore it on his wrist. At that moment, he suddenly stood up from the chair and punched Charlotte's chest. Charlotte's reaction was almost synchronized, without the slightest delay. When Tang Yunhai punched, his hand also moved. In just a flash, he cut the inside of Tang Yunhai's arm, and then hit Tang Yunhai's wrist with the outside of his wrist. The short bridge of Wing Chun fist was the simplest move, but as long as it was used well, even the old patriarch of the Tang family wouldn't be able to hit him. Bam, bam, bam. The two men's fists and feet clashed, and muffled sounds echoed in the tea room. The two men's movements were very fast, but the range of their movements was only within the range of 2 or 3 steps. The fighting scene was very exciting. A minute later, Tang Yunhai took the initiative to retreat and ended the fight with Charlotte. He then laughed and said, Well, you're more powerful than before, kid. Wing Chun fist is really powerful. Grandpa Tang, if we continue to fight, I'll lose to you, said Charlotte. Tang Yunhai glared at Charlotte. Don't flatter me, kid. I'm old and I can't beat you. If I were 30 years younger, I'd believe you if you said that. But I'm 70 years old, and I'm out of breath when I move. How could I be your opponent? If we continue to fight, I'll have to go to the hospital for oxygen. Zhang Yumei looked worried. You two fight as soon as you see each other. If you're always together in the future, won't you tear the house down? Really? Hee. Tang Yunhai just laughed. Tang Yin looked at Charlotte out of the corner of her eye. Zhang Yumei's words contain a hint, and it was a very obvious hint. How could Charlotte not hear the truth? The 3 people of the Tang family in the room had the same idea, which made him very embarrassed. He couldn't help but think, was this a birthday party or a blind date? However, The Tang family was a famous family with hundreds of years of history. It had its own history and face. Such a hint was already the limit. Even if the Tang family liked Charlotte, they wouldn't force Tang Yuyan to sleep with Charlotte. At this time, Tang Tianlong came in and said, "Lei, someone wants to see you. Come with me." "Who wants to see me?" Charlotte asked casually. Tang Tianlong's expression was a bit strange. "My leader, Yu Shanhe." This was the first time that Charlotte had heard this name, but he could easily guess the identity of this person. Tang Tianlong called this person leader, which in itself was an obvious introduction. He even guessed that the phone call that Tang Yin heard last night might be this Yu Shanhe to Tang Tianlong. Tang Yin didn't know why, but he sighed softly. Charlotte secretly said in his heart. Grandfather Tang sighed. Did he already know? "I'm the last to know. What a joke. Do you want me to go with you?" Tang Yin said. Charlotte put away his thoughts and smiled. "No, Uncle Tang, I'll go with you." After Tang Yin left the private room with Charlotte, Tang Yin said, "Grandpa, why don't you help Lei? If you come forward, those people will have to give you some face." "Do you really want to marry that kid?" Tang Yin said. "Grandpa," Tang Yin said angrily, "I'm talking business with you." "I know you're talking business." Tang Yin sighed. "I've already retired. Who will give face to a retired old man? Besides, the thing in Charlotte's hand is too tempting. Everyone wants to have a piece of it. It's really not easy for him to achieve what he has today from scratch. But he's just one person after all. If he's smart, he should enter the Tang family. In that case, he wouldn't be the only one fighting against them." Tang Yin rolled her eyes at Tang Yin. "What you said is useless. He and Tianyin just got divorced. He needs some time." Tang Yin said, "I know what you want to say, but I want to tell you that the Tang family is the Tang family. The rules that have been in place for hundreds of years can't be broken. The Tang family also has its face. For hundreds of years, when did the Tang family's women ever throw themselves at someone?" Tang Yin's head suddenly drooped. Chapter 638. Tang Tianlong brought Charlotte to the innermost private room of the tea house. Charlotte saw Ling Hao, Yi Kun, Mu Jianfeng, a few military people, and a stranger. The man was in his early 50s, with fair skin and well-maintained skin. There was a superior temperament between his eyebrows, giving people the feeling that he was not an ordinary person. This was probably the so-called temperament of a leader. Although no one had introduced him, Charlotte had already guessed the identity of this person. "He should be Yu Shanhe. Charlotte, come here. Let me introduce you." Ling Hao stood up. Charlotte smiled. "I am familiar with all the leaders, except this one." He looked at Yu Shanhe and said politely, "May I know who this leader is?" Without waiting for Ling Hao's introduction, Yu Shanhe stood up with a smile on his face. "My surname is Yu, first name Shanhe." He extended a hand to Charlotte. "Mr. Xia, nice to meet you." Charlotte reached out with both hands and shook Yu Shanhe's hand. "Hello, Mr. Yu, nice to meet you too." Logically, Charlotte should have called him Chief Yu or something, but knowing that the other party did not come with good intentions, there was no need for him to be polite to Yu Shanhe. "Mr. Xia, I will give you 4 words." Charlotte smiled. "What? A dragon among men." Yu Shanhe said. "Mr. Yu really knows how to joke." Charlotte said with a smile, "I will also give you 4 words." Yu Shanhe's eyebrows raised slightly. What is it?" Xiao Lei said. "He's deeply hidden." As soon as this sentence was said, all eyes in the room shifted to Charlotte. They obviously knew Yu Shanhe's identity, and Charlotte's words to Yu Shanhe was almost like a slap in the face to Yu Shanhe. Because in terms of identity, Yu Shanhe gave Charlotte 4 words, which meant that he thought highly of Charlotte. In turn, Charlotte gave Yu Shanhe these 4 words. With his status, he was not qualified to write it. It was an arrogant act. More importantly, the 4 words that Charlotte gave to Yu Shanhe were unfathomable. Whether it was a compliment or a derogatory remark, the results would be different from different perspectives. "Mr. Xiao, what do you mean by that?" Yu Shanhe was a little displeased. Charlotte smiled. "Mr. Yu, I didn't mean anything by it. This means that Mr. Yu is a very powerful person." Charlotte was not a fool. On the contrary, He was a person with an IQ of 998. The Thunder Horse Army factory couldn't get a loan, so Yu Shanhe appeared. Not only Yu Shanhe, but Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan also came. Could this be a coincidence? He had long seen that Yu Shanhe had come to take advantage of his Thunder Horse military factory. This was not the first time such a thing had happened. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan had done this before. At that time, he only had the XL 2500 sniper rifle in his hands. Now, he had more than that in his hands. The Gale assault rifle, the second generation of the Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool, and even the tanks, cannons, defense systems, and other technologies from Rheinmetall. Now that the Thunder Horse Army factory was undergoing a comprehensive upgrade, it was equivalent to moving the upgraded version of Rheinmetall from Germany over. Then, the cake in his hands was enough to move anyone's heart. In addition, if the Thunder Horse Army factory completed this upgrade, its production capacity and other products that could be manufactured in the future would be a threat to Hanwoo Weapons Company and the Shenzhou Industrial Group. Could these two military giants, as well as the stakeholders standing behind them, sit back and watch such a thing happen? Could they not take action? Now, these people were here. However, Charlotte could not understand why Ling Hao was involved. He was involved in this matter because he represented the Xian Bureau. The atmosphere became awkward and strange. Huh? Ling Hao chuckled. Sit. Everyone sit. Are you guys going to stand and talk until old Master Tang's birthday banquet begins? Yu Shanhe seemed to be giving Ling Hao face and no longer cared about the 4 words that Charlotte gave him. Charlotte also sat down. Ling Hao brought a cup of tea to Charlotte. The cup of tea had been brewed early in the morning and was specially prepared for Charlotte. Thank you, Brother Ling. Charlotte was very polite. Ling Hao patted Charlotte on the shoulder. Why are you being so polite with me? Charlotte just smiled and did not say anything. Ever since he knew that Ling Hao was Mr. Z, he had a little grudge against him and was also a little more guarded. Charlotte sat down. Before he took 2 sips of tea, Yu Shanhe glanced at Mu Jianfeng. Mu Jianfeng then glanced at Yi Kuan. Yi Kuan cleared his throat, then looked at Xia Lei. Mr. Xia, the Thunder Horse military factory has been making a lot of moves recently. You're the leader in the field of light weapons, and now you've extended your hand into the field of heavy weapons and heavy equipment. You really have a big appetite. Charlotte smiled and said lightly, just say what you want to say. Don't beat around the bush. Mr. Xia, just say it. Yi Kuan looked at Yu Shanhe from the corner of his eyes as he spoke. Our Hanwoo Weapons Company has been providing parts for the production of Gale assault rifles for Thunder Horse Military Factory, but during this time, we have not received the payment that Thunder Horse Military Factory should have paid us. When do you think this matter will be resolved? Mu Jianfeng also interrupted and said, Mr. Xia, there is still the payment receivable of our Shenzhou Industry Group. Charlotte said lightly, so you're here to ask for money. Do you think that Thunder Horse Military Factory has reached the point where it can't even pay its suppliers? The Thunder Horse Military Factory's XL 2500 sniper rifle and Gale assault rifle are best-selling all over the world. Many countries can't buy them even if they want to. How can it get to the point where it can't even pay its suppliers? This was just an excuse before Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan talked about it. Charlotte could also see that this Yu Shanhe was the host, or rather the mastermind behind the scenes, but he would not personally negotiate with him. The people who came to negotiate with him were Yi Kuan, who represented Hanwoo Weapons Company, and Mu Jianfeng, who represented Shenzhou Industry Group. The mouthpiece of this interest group, the spokesperson. Sometimes he might also be the scapegoat. Mr. Xia, your words are inappropriate. Mu Jianfeng continued Yi Kuan's words. Everyone is doing this for the construction of national defense. Shenzhou Industry Group, Hanwoo Weapons Company, and Thunder Horse Military Factory can be said to be brothers. Now that Thunder Horse Military Factory has some problems with its funds, how can we ask you for money? Didn't Mr. Yi just ask me how to solve it? Charlotte said. Yi Kuan said, Mr. Xia, I didn't ask you for money, I just brought it up. Our 3 companies are brothers. Now that the Thunder Horse Military Factory is in trouble, you are too embarrassed to bring it up. I will bring it up for you, and then everyone will think of a way to help you solve the problem. That was beautiful. Xiao Lei chuckled. Yes, you're right. My Thunder Horse military factory is currently in a critical period of upgrading, but the bank is not giving loans. This is the trouble you're talking about, right? Yi Kuan and Yu Shanha looked at Yu Shanha at the same time. Ahem. Yu Shanha coughed. Mr. Xia, since your three companies are brothers, and you have spoken to this extent, I will say a few words on behalf of my personal position. Mr. Yu, please speak. Charlotte was polite. Yu Shanha said, at present, our country's military enterprises are suppressed by the Western military enterprises. Although we also have a certain amount of exports, most of them are light weapons that the West looks down on. This situation has to be changed, Mr. Xiao. What do you think? How to change? Charlotte looked at Yu Shanha and asked. I speak on behalf of my personal position. Yu Shanha reiterated this point. I suggest that your three companies be integrated together, and then you will be the chairman of the group. Mr. Xia, what do you think of my proposal? Three companies integrated into one company? It had to be said that Yu Shanha's proposal surprised Charlotte. Yes, the integration of the three companies into one will not only improve the international competitiveness of your three companies, but also save costs and increase efficiency. Yu Shanha looked at Ling Hao again and said with a smile, Mr. Ling, what do you think of my proposal? Ling Hao nodded. If the three companies are integrated, I think Charlotte is the most suitable candidate for the position of chairman. His ability is obvious to all. Moreover, even if the three companies are integrated, the Thunder Horse military factory must be the main one. This was Ling Hao's attitude. He agreed to the integration of the three companies into one company. His words revealed the meaning of protecting the interests of Charlotte, and he did not seem to shy away from telling the people in the room that he was on Charlotte's side. I know that Mr. Ling will agree with my proposal. This is a great thing to revitalize our military industry. Yu Shanha looked at Charlotte with a smile. Mr. Xiao, what do you think? Charlotte did not say anything, as if he was thinking about the problem. Before Charlotte spoke, Yi Kuan said, How can this be? In terms of qualifications, Old Mu is the most suitable candidate for the position of chairman. It is undeniable that Mr. Xia is very capable, but I don't think it is appropriate to let him be the chairman. Kuan, Mu Jianfeng said aloud, Don't say any more. It is a new era. Qualifications are not important. Ability is the most important. After the integration of the three companies, our goal is to become one of the world's top military giants. We want the world to be impressed by our military industry in China. Well said, Old Mu is Old Mu. Yi Kuan said, As far as I am concerned, I hope that you, Old Mu, will be the chairman. However, Elder Mu, after what you said, I also think that the position of chairman should be given to the capable. Mr. Xia is the top mechanic and electrical engineer in our country, and he even created the Lima Group from scratch. His talent in business management is even more impressive. Therefore, I, Yi Kuan, also approve of him taking the position of chairman. Although Charlotte will be the chairman, I, Mu Jianfeng, still have to make a stand here. I will do my best to help Charlotte solve the current financial problems encountered by the Thunder Horse military factory. Elder Mu is really of noble character and unquestionable integrity, Yu Shanha praised. Everyone in the room smiled. Of course, Charlotte was the only one who did not smile. Chapter 639. Some of the people in the room played the good cop, and some played the bad cop. They put on a good show in front of him. Their purpose was also obvious. That was his Thunder Horse military factory. The three companies would be integrated, and he would be the chairman. It seemed that he had become the chairman, and the Thunder Horse military factory had also become bigger, even realizing his dream of becoming a world-class military giant. But in reality, he got a false reputation, but he lost the Thunder Horse military factory. The Thunder Horse military factory would also change from a private enterprise to a state-owned one. These people, to put it bluntly, did not want to see private enterprises take away the market of state-owned enterprises. In fact, with the current development trend of the Thunder Horse military factory, it was only a matter of time before it ate up the market of Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group. It was only a matter of time before it became an international top military enterprise. What these people were doing was like buying Jobs' Apple when Jobs had already built Apple and made a big entry into the mobile phone market. Would Jobs be willing? Jobs was not a fool, and neither was Chablos. Even if his IQ of 998 was divided by 10, he would not be willing. Yushan has said again, Mr. Xia, you see, Old Mu is willing to step down and make a contribution to the strengthening of our military industry. How about you be the chairman of this new company? As long as you agree, you can get greater support, more room for development, and realize your ambitions. The people in the room looked at Charlotte, waiting for his statement. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan had a faint smile on their lips. The two military giants seemed to think that Charlotte would agree, because the people who came forward to talk this time were Yushanhe and Ling Hao. Of these two people, Yushanhe would bring great pressure to Charlotte, and Ling Hao would bring confidence to Charlotte, because he was Charlotte's friend. Last time, when Hanwu Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group joined forces to suppress the Thunder Horse military factory, Ling Hao stood on Charlotte's side and helped Charlotte a lot. However, Xiaolei's answer made everyone's jaws drop. No, Charlotte said. This was Charlotte's answer. It was only one word, but it was this word that gave everyone in the room a slap in the face. The one who suffered the most from Charlotte's slap was undoubtedly Yushanhe. Maybe Ling Hao was there as well. Yushanhe's face suddenly darkened. He looked down coldly and said nothing. A trace of displeasure flashed across Ling Hao's eyes, but it disappeared quickly. He said, Charlotte, what's the matter with you? The integration of the three companies into one company will undoubtedly increase the competitiveness of the new company. Moreover, you will be the chairman. Isn't this a good thing? Why did you refuse? Charlotte said indifferently, I'm used to being free and undisciplined. I don't like being restricted by others. If the three companies merge into one company, they won't be able to control those local tyrants who get high salaries but don't do anything. Yi Kuan was instantly unhappy. Charlotte, what do you mean? I didn't offend you today. If you want to criticize me, please say it clearly. Charlotte said, I don't have the guts to criticize you, Chairman Yi. Please don't take it personally. Am I the one taking it personally? Yi Kuan spread his hands. Everyone, please be the judge. Am I the one taking it personally? No one spoke, but everyone knew very well that the local tyrants who got high salaries but didn't do anything was actually Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. In Shenzhou Industrial Group and Hanwu Weapons Company, there were many people who got high salaries but didn't do anything. However, those people could only be regarded as country bumpkins, not local tyrants. Charlotte. Mu Jianfeng suddenly became furious. He slammed the tea table, then pointed at Charlotte's nose and shouted, Don't think that you can do whatever you want because you have some achievements. You can be arrogant. Charlotte sneered. You can do whatever you want just because you don't agree with the integration? Is this what you call being arrogant? All the people in the room were speechless. Yes, the Thunder Horse Army factory belonged to Charlotte. If he didn't agree with the integration, he would be arrogant and do whatever he wanted. Wasn't this a little too overbearing? The atmosphere in the room became awkward. Ling Hao was silent for a long time before he said, Charlotte, you have to understand that they are not making things difficult for you, nor do they want to take away your Thunder Horse Army factory. They really would do a great thing for our country's military industry. I know you are a very patriotic person. Don't you want to do this? Charlotte said, Brother Ling, I have made it very clear that the Thunder Horse Army factory will not be integrated with Hanwu Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group. I am patriotic, and I am proud of it. However, patriotism has nothing to do with this matter, and it can't be used to measure my patriotism. Ling Hao frowned slightly. Xiaolei, what you're saying, Charlotte interrupted Ling Hao. Also, not all companies can be integrated together. Hanwu Weapon Company and Shenzhou Industry Group are both state-owned enterprises, and they are large military enterprises. The people in them all have official positions and military ranks. I'm just a commoner. How can I manage those people? I can't even manage those people, let alone Chairman Mu and Chairman Yi. Mu Jianfeng said in a cold voice, Charlotte, are you saying that I'm a person who is jealous of the talented? In your eyes, am I so weak? Humph. Charlotte smiled. You see, I haven't said anything yet, and you were so excited. If I really become the chairman of the new company, you will make trouble for me everywhere. Will your subordinates submit to me? Charlotte, as long as you agree, I promise you that no one will dare to disobey you. Yushana said. As soon as Yushana spoke, Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan stopped talking. Ling Hao also said, Yes, Charlotte, you don't have to worry about this. With me and old you helping you, who dares to disobey you? Whoever disobeys will be unlucky. Charlotte said, I still say the same thing. Thunder Horse Military Factory will not be integrated with Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industrial Group. I, Charlotte, don't care about the position of chairman of the new company. I built Thunder Horse Military Factory by myself. I will not go to any company except Thunder Horse Military Factory. Thunder Horse Military Factory is now at a very critical period. As long as it passes this hurdle, it will become a top military giant in the world. At that time, it will become a famous business card of China's military industry, and it will also bring great benefits. How is it not winning glory for the country? Isn't its growth a good thing? Is it a good thing to turn a vigorous company into a place of intrigue and power struggles? The people in the room were silent. Charlotte's words were all true. These people did not come to persuade him to integrate the three companies for the honor of the country and the interests of the country. Instead, they wanted to use this method to make Thunder Horse Military Factory a part of Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industrial Group. Then they would slowly invade the management system of Thunder Horse Military Factory and get the technology of Thunder Horse Military Factory. In the end, Thunder Horse Military Factory, a dark horse, would become a dead horse. They were well aware of this, but they were at ease. Charlotte, you are too serious. Ling Hao sighed. For my sake, agree. Charlotte, also for my sake, agree. Yushana said the same thing. Ling Hao's tone was gentle, with a hint of humbling himself to beg. However, Yushana's tone was forceful, forcing Xia Lei to submit. If the soft approach didn't work, then the hard approach. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan sneered at the same time. In their view, Charlotte and his Thunder Horse Military Factory could not overcome the hurdle in front of them. Not for anything else, but because of Charlotte, he did not dare to offend Ling Hao and Yu Shanha at all. Not only Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan had such thoughts, but the others in the room also had such thoughts. They were on the same side, and Xia Lei was also on the same side. However, in comparison, Xia Lei was the only one on his side, and his forces were weak. But at this moment, Charlotte laughed. Huh, what are you laughing at? There was a trace of anger on Yu Shana's face. Charlotte said with a smile, Nothing, I'm just laughing at myself. I always thought I was very smart, but in front of you, I am too stupid. If it were me, I would not do such a thing. What do you mean? Yu Shanha looked at Charlotte coldly. Charlotte was not afraid and said frankly, Since we had talked about this, I am not afraid of offending you. I will say it directly. You want to swallow my Thunder Horse Military Factory in this way and drive me out of the military market. I can actually understand you. After all, you have to stand in your position to consider this matter. After all, the Thunder Horse Military Factory has threatened the existence of Hanwoo Weapons Company and Shinjo Industry Group. But what I want to tell you is that the law of the market is survival of the fittest. If you can't do it, you can't do it. If you destroy the Thunder Horse Military Factory in this way, one day you will be eliminated from the international market. It is only a matter of time. Eliminate Shinjo Industry Group and Hanwoo Weapons Company? Xia Lei, your tone is a little too big. Mu Jianfeng's voice rang out. Charlotte ignored him and continued. You can make me unable to get a loan, and you can also make trouble for the Thunder Horse Military Factory. But I want to tell you, I will not give in. Unless you can persuade the people above to seal my Thunder Horse Military Factory with an order, I will solve the problem in my own way. If the domestic banks don't give me a loan, I will make a phone call, and there will naturally be a foreign bank that will give me a loan. Tell me, which country's bank can you borrow 20 billion from? Do you think it is 2 million? Yi Kuan's voice. Charlotte smiled. Since you asked, I will tell you. The UAE banks are not short of 20 billion, right? And it is in Chinese currency. I just need to give Prince Harry a phone call, and I could get the money. Charlotte, do you have to make things like this? I promise you that you will not lose out in this deal. Even if you lose out in this deal, you can earn it back from other places. Ling Hao said. This was a hint. Xiao Lei, however, shook his head. All right, I've made myself clear enough. I will go for a loan tomorrow. If I can't get a loan, I will get a loan from abroad. If you cause trouble for the Thunder Horse military factory, then fine, I will destroy my machine tools. At most, I will not make weapons. No one can even think about getting those advanced technologies. But I advise you not to do this, because I can do anything, but the Thunder Horse military factory has inexplicably closed down. If someone asks for the responsibility, then the responsibility is not something that can be casually found one or two people to take the blame. All right, you guys continue chatting. I will excuse myself. Under the gaze of everyone in the room, Charlotte turned around and left, not giving face to anyone. Chapter 640. Xiao Lei left, but the house was still as silent as a grave. Who would have thought that Charlotte would not even give face to Ling Hao and Yu Shanhe? If it was someone else, this matter would have been settled. But Charlotte was not someone else. He was the only one. Damn it, that kid didn't give face. Yi Kun broke the silence in the tea room, looking very angry. Does he really think he is Sun Wukong with 3 heads and 6 arms? Even if he really is Sun Wukong, he can't get out of Buddha's 5-finger mountain. Yu Shanhe frowned. Yi Kun, what are you talking about? Yi Kun's face suddenly froze. He was flattering Yu Shanhe, but he didn't expect that Yu Shanhe wouldn't fall for it all. Mu Jianfeng was calm. After Charlotte left, he didn't say a word. Not only did he keep silent, but he also looked calm. It was as if what had just happened had nothing to do with him, and he was indifferent. Mr. Ling, this matter, Yu Shanhe tentatively said. How to deal with it? Ling Hao was silent for a moment before saying, already have an idea in your mind. Why ask me? Cunning. Yu Shanhe scolded in his heart, but there was a smile on his face. Mr. Ling, you helped Charlotte grow. Without your help, would his Thunder Horse military factory have developed to this scale today? I did help him, yes, but it was because of Bai. Besides, I didn't expect him to do so well in his company. Can you blame me? Ling Hao said. A private company is about to destroy Hanwu Weapons Company and Shenzhou Industrial Group, as well as other military enterprises. This matter is very serious for us. Now is not the time to blame anyone. We have to come up with a practical and effective way to let Charlotte lose control of the Thunder Horse military factory. Yu Shanhe said. He just said that if he can't bring the money in the country, he will go abroad to get a loan. He is very good friends with the Prince of the United Arab Emirates, and the Prince's army is also a loyal fan of the Thunder Horse military factory. It is very easy for him to get a loan from the Bank of the United Arab Emirates. Therefore, your method won't work at all, Ling Hao said. Mr. Ling, you must think of a way. Charlotte trusts you a lot and respects you a lot. Other than you, he doesn't listen to anyone else. Mu Jianfeng said. Ling Hao smiled bitterly. Do you think that if I stand on your side and persuade him to hand over the Thunder Horse military factory, he will still trust me? At the same time, in the corridor outside the tea room, Charlotte also revealed a sneer. He did not really leave. After coming out of the tea room, he had been staring at the tea room where Ling Hao and Yu Shanhe were, using the lip-reading technique to decipher the conversations of the people in the room. He was curious about why Ling Hao, as Mr. Z of the ZN Bureau, was involved in this matter. Everyone had a motive for doing things, but what would Ling Hao gain from doing so? At this time, Yu Shanhe came to Ling Hao's side, covered his mouth with his hand, and whispered, "The person above you is about to retire, and I support you to replace him. You don't want me to support your competitor, right? That woman. You hate her very much, don't you?" This whisper obviously could not be heard by Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kun, nor could anyone else in the room, but this sentence still did not escape Charlotte's lip reading. Yu Shanhe's hand, covering his mouth, could not resist Charlotte's X-ray eyes at all. This was the reason why Ling Hao was involved in this matter. It was through Yu Shanhe's whisper that Xiao Lei accidentally obtained a very important piece of information. That was Ling Hao was not the person in charge of the ZN Bureau. In addition to him, there was a director, a woman. Yu Shana's words also revealed the current situation of the ZN Bureau. The old director was about to retire, and a woman became Ling Hao's competitor. Ling Hao nodded. Old Yu, if I didn't support you, would I be here? This matter can't be rushed. Let me think of a way. Yu Shanha showed a smile. Then I will wait for your good news. Charlotte withdrew his gaze. Now, he also figured out one thing, and that was Ling Hao was actually not the director of a special office. When Ling Hao used this identity to contact him, Ling Hao's goal was him and related to the X-Secret Gold Project. Lei, what are you doing here? Tang Yin's voice came from behind. Charlotte turned and walked towards her. Nothing, let's go. Tang Yin said. How was the discussion? Charlotte smiled. Not bad. What did you talk about? Tang Yin asked. Don't ask, let's go. Charlotte said. Still keeping secrets from me? It's boring. Although she said it was boring, Tang Yin took Charlotte's arm. His arm suddenly touched something soft, and the depression in Charlotte's heart was also melted by that thing. He was a little embarrassed, but he couldn't push her away. That was really not something a man could do. Tang Yin took Charlotte back to the tea room where Tang Yunhai and Zhang Yumei were. Boy, those people didn't make things difficult for you, did they? Tang Yunhai asked directly. No. Charlotte smiled. No one can force me to do something I don't want to do. Tang Yunhai and Tang Yin couldn't help but look at each other. The grandfather and grandson seemed to have another understanding of Charlotte's words. Hee hee. Tang Yunhai laughed dryly. Let's go and have a few drinks. It's getting late. It's time to start. Charlotte nodded and said secretly in his heart, You probably know what those people want to do, right? That's why they invited me to drink this birthday banquet. In this world, there are really few people who can be trusted. Tang Yunhai and Zhang Yumei left the tea room and went to the restaurant where the birthday banquet was held. Tang Yuyin and Charlotte walked behind them. After a few steps, she reached out and took Charlotte's arm. Her manner was intimate and natural, as if she was Charlotte's girlfriend, the kind that had lived together for several years. Along the way, many people cast strange looks at her, but she didn't mind at all. Instead, she enjoyed it. Xiaolei, on the other hand, was embarrassed by her. If you can't get a loan, our Tang family has it. Instead of looking for a bank, it's better to look for my grandfather. Tang Yuyin said in a low voice. Thank you, but let me solve this matter myself. Charlotte didn't think too much and refused. Borrow money from the Tang family? Moreover, he wanted to borrow 20 billion. The price he had to pay was obvious. That was to marry into the Tang family and marry Tang Yuyin. There was no such thing as a free lunch. After marrying Tang Yuyin, he would become a member of the Tang family. In the future, his life would be entangled with the Tang family. What do you mean? Tang Yuyin curled her lips. Is the threshold of the Tang family so high? Are you so afraid to marry into the Tang family? Charlotte smiled. That's a different matter. When I married Shinatianin, we separated our assets. She earned her money, and I did my business. We were separated financially. Do you mean that after you and I get married in the future, we will also be separated financially? Tang Yuyin suddenly smiled. Okay, no problem. I'll ask my grandfather for 500 million dowry, and I won't ask you for money to buy cosmetics in the future. Charlotte was speechless. There was no way to communicate. At this time, Ling Hao, Yushanha, and a group of people also came out from another tea room. Charlotte, wait a minute. Ling Hao stopped him. Charlotte turned back with a smile. Brother Ling, what's the matter? Ling Hao walked over quickly and pretended to be unhappy. Can I talk to you if I have nothing to do? Of course not. Charlotte said. Ling Hao sighed. Business is business. Private matters are private matters. You and I can't hurt the relationship between us because of business. Charlotte smiled. Of course not, Brother Ling. I used to treat you as a brother. Ling Hao frowned slightly. What about now? Of course now. Charlotte was still smiling, but the answer in his heart was the opposite. Huh? Ling Hao laughed. Yu Yin, can I be a third wheel and sit the same table with you later? Tang Yuyin was worried that there was no third wheel. Ling Hao volunteered to be a third wheel. How could she not be happy? She giggled and said, Of course you can, but you have to give our lay a few glasses later. He can't drink much. Huh, now you know how to care for others. Ling Hao laughed. Charlotte, you're lucky. Charlotte felt a headache. There were not many people at the birthday banquet. There were only about 10 tables, but everyone who came to celebrate the birthday was a person of status. Charlotte and Tang Yuyin sat together, and Ling Hao sat next to Charlotte. Yu Shanhe, Mu Jianfeng, and Yi Kuan sat at another table. No one mentioned the integration of Thunder Horse Military Factory, Shenzhou Industrial Group, and Hanwha Weapons Company. No one even looked at Charlotte. Everyone seemed to be at peace. However, Charlotte knew that these people were waiting for Ling Hao's result. Charlotte thought to himself, how will Ling Hao persuade me? He's a very smart person and knows how to hide. He should know that even if he persuades me, I will not agree. So what will he do? Will he use some dirty tricks to force me to give in? The friend and brother of the past had become the opponent of the present. Such a change was hard for him to accept. However, when he thought about how Ling Hao's Mr. Z had been targeting him from the beginning, he didn't really care about the relationship between him and Ling Hao. If Ling Hao hadn't been targeting him, why would he have contacted him in the first place? Would he have helped him? At the end of the day, it was all because of the Secret Gold Project and the supreme value of AE. As Charlotte's thoughts were quietly active, a woman suddenly walked in quietly and sat at the table. Charlotte could not help but look at her. The woman looked very young, less than 30 years old. She had short hair, and her facial features were exquisite and beautiful. She was tall and slender, with fine lines. The only drawback was that her breasts were slightly flat and did not look very big. But from an aesthetic point of view, her face could be rated 9. 5 points, and her figure could be rated 9 points. However, if she were to wear a silicone bra that would only make her breasts fuller, her figure would reach a perfect 10. Women with short hair always gave people a sense of confidence and straightforwardness. This woman was obviously more outstanding in this aspect. She had a very special aura. If one were to use a character as a comparison, it would probably be Huang Mulan or Mu Guiying. Perhaps this special aura of hers touched a certain part of Charlotte's heart. He could not help but think, who is this woman? People who can come to Tang Yunhai's birthday are not simple, but why have I never seen her before? At this moment, Ling Hao's eyes moved to the short-haired woman, and his eyes quietly turned cold. The short-haired woman's eyes also moved to Ling Hao, with some unfathomable meaning in her eyes. Ling Hao and the short-haired woman did not say a word, but it was this eye contact that caught Charlotte's attention. His heart skipped a beat. Could it be her? Chapter 641. The person that Charlotte thought of was the same as Ling Hao, a member of the ZN Bureau. If he hadn't used his X-ray vision in the tea room and hadn't used the lip-reading technique to detoxify the conversation between Yu Shanhe and Ling Hao, he wouldn't have known Ling Hao's motive for getting involved in this matter, let alone that there was a woman who was Ling Hao's competitor. However, whether the short-haired woman in front of him was a member of the ZN Bureau, and whether she was Ling Hao's competitor, these were just speculations and couldn't be confirmed. The short-haired woman and Ling Hao looked at each other, and then moved their eyes to Charlotte. It was the first time they met, and they didn't know each other. Charlotte avoided her eyes and pretended to look at Tang Yuyin's chest. He wanted to be obscene, and if the other party looked down on him because of this, it would be even better. However, when Charlotte peeked at Tang Yuyin's chest, the short-haired woman smiled and took the initiative to greet Charlotte. "Are you Mr. Xia?" Charlotte looked at the short-haired woman, smiled, and said politely, "Yes, I am Charlotte. And you are?" The short-haired woman reached out a hand to Charlotte. "Su Xiao. Nice to meet you, Mr. Xia." Su Xiao. This was the first time that Charlotte had heard this name. "Hello, Miss Su. Nice to meet you." Charlotte shook hands with Su Xiao. Su Xiao smiled. "The father of rifles in China, the world's top mechanic and electrical engineer. You are so young, but your life is already so wonderful. I have wanted to meet you for a long time, but I didn't have the chance until today." "Miss Su, you're welcome." Charlotte held Su Xiao's hand and didn't let go, looking very enthusiastic. Tang Yuyin kicked Charlotte under the table, and Charlotte let go. What do you do, Miss Sue? Su Xiao smiled. Mr. Xia, do you ask girls what they do when you see them? Charlotte smiled and said, please don't misunderstand. I just want to know more about Miss Sue. This way, we might be able to become friends faster. I work for the government. Sorry, I can only tell you this much, Su said with a smile. Of course, Charlotte didn't expect Su Xiao to tell him her true identity. But in his subconscious mind, the possibility of Su Xiao being from the Xian Bureau had reached 60 to 70%. When Charlotte returned to his seat, Tang Yin nudged his thigh with her knee and whispered, if you want to shake hands, just shake hands. Why are you grabbing my hand and not letting go? Charlotte didn't mind. He lowered his voice. Do you know this Su Xiao? I don't know him. Who invited her? Tang Yin was stunned for a moment before replying. Anyway, it's not me. Why do you ask? Charlotte said, I want to know her background. Can you help me ask your family who invited this Su Xiao? Tang Yin was not an ordinary woman. From what Charlotte said, she already knew that there was something wrong with this woman's background. She nodded, then got up and left. When the birthday banquet began, Tang Yin returned and whispered in Charlotte's ear, no one invited her, and I can't find out her identity. Charlotte's heart skipped a beat, and he secretly said, is it really the woman from the Xian Bureau? But why did she come to see me in front of Ling Hao? What kind of trouble are you in? Tang Yin whispered, last time you asked me to help you investigate Song Baiqing's situation, and now Su Zhao's situation is the same. Tell me, what can I help you with? Don't worry about it. You can't help me even if you want to, Charlotte said. Tang Yin slightly raised the corner of her mouth, but said nothing. Charlotte glanced at Su Xiao from the corner of his eye, and found that Su Xiao and Ling Hao looked at each other. The two had not spoken a word until now, as if they were strangers. However, from the look in Ling Hao's and Su Zhao's eyes, they were definitely not strangers who met for the first time. At the beginning of the birthday banquet, Charlotte and Ling Hao drank a few glasses of wine and chatted for a while. Su Xiao didn't talk to him anymore, but just ate a little and got up to leave. Brother Ling, do you know this Su Xiao? After Su Xiao left, Charlotte asked Ling Hao. Ling Hao shook his head. No, it's the first time we met. Then he smiled. What do you want? This Su Xiao is no match for Yu Yen. Listen to me. You'd better be with Yu Yen. Charlotte just smiled. Tang Yin looked very happy and took the initiative to refill Ling Hao's wine. Before the birthday banquet was over, Charlotte received a phone call. It was a strange number. He hesitated for a moment, but still answered the phone. Hello, who is this? Mr. Xia, I'll wait for you outside. This was the voice of Su Xiao. She only said this sentence, and then hung up the phone. Charlotte put away the phone. Sorry, I have something to do? I have to go first. What's the matter? Tang Yin asked. Company business. Charlotte said. Ling Hao said, if you have something to do, go do it. A man should focus on his career. Brother Ling, I'll accompany you another day. Charlotte didn't say much and got up to leave. Tang Yin looked very unhappy, but she couldn't find a reason to keep him. Walking out of the hotel lobby, Charlotte looked around and soon saw Su Xiao in the direction of the parking lot. She stood beside a black car with a red flag, looking at him with a faint smile. He walked over to her. Miss Su, why did you call me out? Charlotte went straight to the point. Get in the car, we'll talk in the car. Su Xiao said. Charlotte said, then get in my car. No problem, Su Xiao said with a smile. Charlotte got into his Chevrolet Suburban off-road van, and Su Xiao also got into the passenger seat. Charlotte drove out of the parking lot into the street and then drove in the direction of the Thunder Horse Army factory. Until he couldn't see the Sheridan Hotel behind him, he said aloud, can you say it now? Miss Su. Okay, I'll say it directly. Su Xiao said, you're in trouble now, and I can help you solve the problem. Do you mean the problem of the loan? Charlotte smiled. You're really enthusiastic, but I appreciate your kindness. I could solve the problem of money myself. Mr. Xia, do you think I look like someone who can help you get a 20 billion loan? Su Xiao said. Charlotte was slightly stunned. It's not about the loan. You said I'm in trouble. What kind of trouble is that? Fan, and Long Bing. Charlotte frowned. What are you trying to say? Also, how do you know about Fan and Long Bing? Su Xiao said, I naturally have my own channels. Who are you? As I said, I work for the government. That's all I can tell you. Su Xiao then changed the topic. You may not know what kind of trouble you're in. I always tell you. Fan Fan has submitted a research report on you. And Long Bing is facing an investigation. Charlotte's heart suddenly sank. Fan Fan knew the condition of his body. Although she didn't know 100%, she knew about 50% to 60%. But even 50% to 60% was enough to put him in huge trouble. But what he didn't understand was that he had already settled with Fan Fan. Why would she betray him? You said that Long Bing will be investigated. Why? Charlotte asked. Because of you. Su Xiao said. Don't you understand? She's your woman, and there are some things she can't get away with. There may be Liang Xiao next. If anything happens to her, it's also because of you. Charlotte's eyes suddenly became cold. Are you threatening me? Mr. Xia, don't misunderstand. I'm here to help you, not to threaten you. Charlotte snorted coldly. Help me? Tell me, what do you want from me? I'll tell you when you believe me. Su Xiao said. Stop here and let me get out. Charlotte stepped on the brake and stopped the car on the side of the road. Su Xiao opened the door and got out of the car. Then she put USB on the dashboard. Take it back and look at it yourself. When you confirm the situation, you can call me. It's a number just now. I'll wait for you. Charlotte drove forward, but his eyes stayed on the rearview mirror. In the mirror, Su Xiao smiled and made a call gesture to him. Then his eyes moved to the USB on the dashboard, and he was worried. Su Xiao disappeared in the rearview mirror. Charlotte took out his mobile phone and dialed Long Bing's cell phone number. The number you have dialed is power off. Please try again later. The system voice came out of the phone. Charlotte angrily threw the phone on the sofa on the passenger seat. It wasn't until this moment that he realized the meaning of the saying, those who come are not good, and those who are kind don't come. This Su Xiao, in all likelihood, was that woman. Although she didn't say what she wanted, it was obvious that what she wanted was the same as Ling Hao. She wanted to take over the Thunder Horse military factory, which would be a great addition to her career. He couldn't help but compare Ling Hao with Su Xiao. Compared with Ling Hao, this woman was obviously more ruthless and tough. Back at the Thunder Horse Army factory, Charlotte went directly to his office and plugged the USB that Su Xiao gave him into the computer. There was an electronic document and a video in the USB. Charlotte opened the electronic document and was stunned at first glance. This was the unmodified research report of Fan Fan, and the data on it was amazing, especially his IQ of 998. What's going on? Charlotte was inexplicably surprised. I clearly saw Fan Fan modify every index, and this original report has long been destroyed. How could it appear in Su Xiao's hands? Did Fan Fan really betray me and give the original report to the Xian Bureau? Thinking of this, Charlotte's heart suddenly ignited with anger. After divorcing Shinatianin, he vowed that he would never be deceived by a woman again, but he didn't expect to be deceived again. Charlotte opened the video file in the USB. In the video, Long Bing was sitting in a closed room. There was no one interrogating her. She was looking in the direction of the camera, her eyes slightly dull, and her face was tired. The video was very short, and there was no other content. Charlotte put away the USB, left the office, and walked to the villa. Chapter 642. The two Special Forces guards in front of the villa greeted Charlotte. Charlotte nodded and then entered the villa. But after 2 steps, he turned back and asked one of the Special Forces guards, "Did anyone come here after I left?" The Special Forces guard said, "A woman came here." "A woman?" Charlotte's heart moved. "What's her name?" The Special Forces guard said, "I don't know who she is, but she has permission to enter." "What does she look like?" Charlotte asked again. The Special Forces guard frowned. "I'm sorry, Mr. Xia. I'm not your subordinate. I'm not obliged to answer your questions." Charlotte shrugged and said with a smile, "It doesn't matter. Thank you." After entering the villa, Charlotte went directly to Fan Fan's laboratory. When he arrived at the door, he stopped. His left eye twitched slightly, and the scene in the laboratory suddenly came into his eyes. But it was this X-ray vision that shocked him on the spot. The laboratory was in a mess. Many documents and office supplies were scattered on the ground. Fan Fan fell on the ground of the laboratory. Her eyes were closed, and there was a very eye-catching bloodstain on her forehead. Without much time to think, Charlotte pushed the door open and rushed in. He picked up Fan Fan and pinched her rinjone point with his hand. Up. Fan Fan moaned and slowly woke up. Her vision seemed to be very blurred. She didn't see clearly who was holding her. She suddenly became nervous. She reached out to push Charlotte and shouted, "No, let me go. It's me. It's me. Shoo." Charlotte covered her mouth with his hand. Only then did Fan Fan see the person in front of her clearly. Her whole body relaxed. "Brother Lazy, it's you. That's great. That's great. I thought I would never see you again." Charlotte grabbed her soft hand. "Tell me, what happened?" "A woman came here. She said she wanted to look at the research report on you. I told her that your research report had already been given to Song Baiching. But she didn't listen to me at all. She unreasonably rummaged through my lab. As you can see, she made a mess here." "Didn't the special forces stop her?" Charlotte asked. Fan Fan shook her head. "There was a special forces soldier who heard us quarreling and came over to take a look, but she scolded him and left." "What did she find here?" Fan Fan's expression suddenly darkened. She stammered, "Brother Lazy, I'm sorry." She snatched my phone and saw the original report in my phone. Charlotte's heart sank to the bottom of the valley, and his mood was terrible to the extreme. He had already guessed who it was. It was Su Xiao. "Brother Lazy, I'm sorry. Charlotte interrupted Fan Fan. "Why didn't you delete it?" Fan Fan avoided Charlotte's eyes. "I've been studying you. I've been looking for a way you can make a woman pregnant. The data is very important to me. I originally planned to delete it after I found the method, but I didn't expect that woman to come here." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." She looked at Charlotte. "Can you forgive me? It's not your fault. I don't blame you," Charlotte said. Fan Fan buried her head in Xiao Lei's chest and sobbed. "But I still hate myself so much. I'm so useless." Sob, sob. Charlotte gently stroked her back and comforted her. "Don't cry. I don't blame you. It's not your fault." Fan Fan's delicate body trembled slightly, and her voice could be heard. "Your body is a miracle. If they knew, I can't believe they would do such a thing." "They?" Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. "Who are they?" Fan Fan's cheeks turned red, and her voice trembled even more. "Song Baiching and the people behind him. I'm talking about them. Don't be nervous. I'll take care of it. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. Don't touch me anymore." Fan Fan suddenly spasmed, and her neck turned red. She actually had that thing at this time. Charlotte was a little speechless, but he also knew that Fan Fan's body was very special. Even a comforting touch could make her very excited. Women after that thing were especially charming and sexy, and Fan Fan was one of them. Her beautiful face was flushed with excitement, and there was a pink rouge on her neck. The open collar revealed a jade-like, snow-white skin. The ditch was bottomless and could drown many men. Her eyes were a little misty, as if shrouded in a layer of faint mist. She looked at people with excitement, temptation, and charm. "Let me help you deal with your wound." Charlotte began to divert his attention. If it was any other time, he might not be able to resist Fan Fan's temptation and fight with her here. But today he was not in the mood. But just as Charlotte was about to carry Fan Fan to deal with the wound, Fan Fan suddenly wrapped her arms around his neck, and then her whole body pressed on Charlotte's body. Charlotte hurriedly put one hand behind him to keep his balance and not be pressed to the ground by Fan Fan. Fan Fan kissed Charlotte's lips. She was very anxious and eager. Charlotte's lower abdomen also ignited a flame, but before the flame completely burned, he still maintained a trace of reason. He turned his head, avoided Fan Fan's cherry lips, and said, "Fan Fan, I'm sorry, I'm really not in the mood." Fan Fan looked at Charlotte with eager eyes. "Then how about I tell you a good news?" "What good news?" Charlotte really couldn't think of any good news that Fan Fan could tell him at this time. He had received too much bad news. Fan Fan moved closer to Charlotte's ear. "I found a way to get your child." Charlotte was stunned. And then he said anxiously, "Tell me, What is it? Fan Fan licked her lips with her lilac tongue and said with a seductive look, I can't stand it anymore. You have to calm me down before I can tell you. This was already an obvious hint. If he wanted to get the answer from her mouth, he had to first fill her emptiness and satisfy her desire. The last bit of reason in Charlotte's heart was gone. He suddenly pushed Fan Fan down and then pressed on her body. Fan Fan's legs wrapped around Charlotte's waist, and the wrinkled white lace hanging from her ankle was like a magic flag. It swayed around her ankle, releasing a mysterious smell and magic, tempting Charlotte to explore her mysterious world and find the treasure. Xiale really went to explore her mysterious treasure trove and savagely messed up the treasure trove. At this time, he also relaxed and no longer thought about those annoying things. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to conquer the little vixen in front of him. Tell me, what is it? Although he was already fully immersed, Charlotte did not forget the business. Can't you ask me later? Fan Fan's words were not coherent. It felt like she was singing on a bumpy carriage. No, I want to know now. Okay, I'll tell you. Fan Fan continued to sing on the bumpy carriage. I found out that your little tadpole, can release a kind of poison that can kill competitors. Yeah, if that's the case, you might be able to impregnate all the women. Is it for me to eat the antidote? No. It's useless even if you eat it. It's for me, myself. It's not eating, it's putting it inside. Inside where? Aren't you in there? Charlotte only then realized where he was. He was a little embarrassed. How far have you gone in your research? It's just the beginning. As long as you give me a little time, I will definitely be able to study it. You must tell me when you are done. Of course, I will be the first to tell you. Charlotte was too lazy to say any more nonsense and immersed himself in his work. He was very clear about his own situation, but he also believed in Fan Fan's ability. After all, she was the best bioengineer in the country. She had collected so many samples from his body that it was not impossible for her to study that kind of antidote. The AE Research Center might also have such ability, but the samples that Liang Xiao collected from his body would soon die. After being sent to the AE Research Center, the bioengineers there could only study dead tadpoles. Therefore, in this regard, Fan Fan actually had a great advantage. The chaotic scene quieted down. Do you want children? The sweaty Fan Fan whispered in Charlotte's ear in a soft tone. Charlotte said, Of course, if we have children. Fan Fan suddenly got up from Charlotte's arms. Let's talk about the future in the future. Aren't you going to help me treat my wound? Let's go to my room. There's a first aid kit there. Charlotte watched Fan Fan lift up her little white lace and watched her beauty slowly disappear from his sight. In his heart, he was thinking about something else. Why did she avoid this question? If a woman gave birth to a child for a man, then what this woman wanted most was a family and the identity of a wife. But judging from Fan Fan's reaction just now, she was not the least bit interested in these things. This place is terrible. It will take me a long time to clean it up later. Fan Fan curled the corner of her mouth. That woman is really hateful. Suddenly, a thought flashed in Charlotte's mind. Then his left eye twitched slightly, and his microvision ability was awakened. In his eyes, the tiny traces in the laboratory appeared one by one in his field of vision. And at the same time, his brain also entered the extraordinary mode, combing through these traces one by one and reconstructing them. What are you looking at? Fan Fan asked. Charlotte got up from the ground. A trace of a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Nothing. Let's go to your room. Can you touch me less later? Fan Fan's cheeks blushed. I'm afraid I can't help it again. Charlotte reached out to pinch her cheek. You are a greedy kitten. No matter how much you eat, you can't get enough. Look, you're bullying me again. With such a special body, I am already pitiful enough, but you still want to bully me. Let's go. I will treat your wound. Do you think I am a bad woman because I am so greedy? Why would I? If you are a bad woman, then there are no bad women in this world. As Charlotte spoke, his eyes took in the last tiny trace. At the same time, his brain was also reconstructing the scene according to the footprints, finger marks, and so on that he could not see with his left eye in the microvision state. Almost in the blink of an eye, a tall woman who was about 175 meters tall and weighed 110 kilograms appeared in his mind. And Fonfon's movements in this laboratory were all simulated under the microvision, vividly displayed in Charlotte's brain. A trace of a smile appeared at the corner of Charlotte's mouth, a thought-provoking smile. Chapter 643. In the dead of night, a Chevrolet Suburban off-road van was parked on the side of a road in the suburbs. At the end of the road was a village with lights on, and dogs barking could be heard from time to time. Charlotte got out of the car and looked at the woods. Su Xiao walked out of the woods, wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and tight denim shorts. Her whole body exuded a youthful and attractive aura. "I didn't expect you to call me so soon," Su Xiao said. "I thought you would call me tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow." Charlotte walked over to her. "Don't talk nonsense. I've seen everything you gave me. Tell me, what do you want?" "So direct?" Su Xiao looked a little surprised. Charlotte said, "My patience is limited. You better say it before I change my mind." Su Xiao smiled faintly. "Well, then I'll be straightforward. I want your Thunder Horse Military Factory." Thunder Horse Military Factory, Shenzhou Industrial Group, and Hanwha Weapons Company will be integrated. You will be the chairman, but your share cannot exceed 20%. What if I don't agree? If you don't agree, your experiment report will appear on someone's desk. You know what that means. And Long Bing, she has done a lot of things for you. She can't get away with it. Where is she now? Charlotte asked, suppressing the anger in his heart. Agree to my conditions, and you will naturally see her, Su Xiao added. It's useless for you to go to Sherbourne. You can't do anything about it. Bureau Zen was more mysterious than Bureau 101, but it was also more powerful. It was not surprising that Sherbourne couldn't do anything about it. I agree to your conditions. Take me to her, Charlotte said. Su Xiao was surprised that Charlotte agreed so readily. She looked at Charlotte. You really agree? Xiao Lei said coldly. People like you will do anything in order to get what you want. I have a handle on me in your hands. So, how can I not agree? Don't misunderstand. This is good for everyone. Stop disgusting me. Now take me to see Long Bing. Charlotte said. Su Xiao shook his head. That won't do. You have to meet my conditions first before you can get what you want. All right, bring Long Bing to the Thunder Horse Military Factory tomorrow. I have something you want, and you give me what I want. A smile appeared on Su Xiao's face. No problem. I'll bring Long Bing over tomorrow morning. Are you the person who is competing with Ling Hao for the position of the director of the Xian Bureau? Charlotte said, both you and Ling Hao will be promoted as long as we take over the Thunder Horse Military Factory, right? The smile on Su Xiao's face disappeared, and the look in his eyes changed. You know all this? If you don't want people to know, then don't do it. Charlotte said, if I give this benefit, which can be said to be a huge political capital to Ling Hao, I will also get what I want. So you'd better not provoke me, or you will be busy for nothing. You won't do that. Can you give me a reason not to do that? At least, Ling Hao has helped me before, and we have a friendship. Su Xiao said, there is no fourth person who knows about your research report. If you want a fifth or sixth person to know about it, then choose Ling Hao. Fan knew about the report, Charlotte knew about it himself, and now Su Xiao knew about it. There were 3 people in total who knew about it. Su Xiao used the experiment report to threaten Charlotte. Charlotte really had no choice but to use her. All right, I will wait for you at the Thunder Horse Military Factory tomorrow morning. Bring Long Bing, the experiment report, and the relevant merger documents to me. Charlotte said this and turned to leave. Su Xiao watched Charlotte leave. It was not until Charlotte disappeared from her sight that she took out her mobile phone and dialed a good code. He agreed. I will take the contract to the Thunder Horse Military Factory tomorrow morning. You? Well, I got it. 100 meters away, in the driver's seat of the Chevrolet Suburban off-road van, Charlotte was staring at Su Xiao, using the lip-reading technique to interpret Su Xiao's words. Su Xiao put away her mobile phone. The call was very short, only a dozen seconds. Charlotte turned the car on and drove in the direction of the Thunder Horse Military Factory. On the way, Charlotte called Liang Xiao. Xiao, it's me, Charlotte. I know it's you. It was Liang Xiao's voice. Are you willing to call me? Charlotte said. When was the last time you saw Long Bing? Did you call me to ask where Long Bing is? There was a touch of jealousy in Liang Xiao's tone. Charlotte said, This is very important. Tell me, when was the last time you saw Long Bing? On the phone, Liang Xiao was silent for a moment before saying, It seems to be yesterday. I didn't see her at the station today. Did something happen to her? She was taken away for investigation. What? What's going on? Liang Xiao was surprised. Charlotte sighed softly. It's because of me. I see. Do you need me to do anything for you? Liang Xiao's voice was full of concern. Charlotte said, I don't need it for the time being. Just pretend that you don't know about it. Don't ask about Long Bing's whereabouts in 101 innings. Just do what you have to do. If I'm also taken away for investigation, will you save me? Yes. Charlotte hung up the phone. Back at the Thunder Horse military factory, Charlotte went directly to the arms warehouse. When he came out, he carried an engineering plastic box on his shoulder, which looked very heavy. Charlotte returned to the villa with the military canvas bag. The Special Forces guards at the door greeted Charlotte. One of them asked, Mr. Xiao, what's in the box? Charlotte said, an XL 2500 sniper rifle. I want to modify it. The Special Forces guard said, Mr. Xia, can you? Charlotte suddenly became angry. Bastard, do I need your permission to do anything in my place? Who are you? Who gave you the order? Let him talk to me in person. The two Special Forces guards' faces turned red. They were angry and wronged, but they didn't dare to get angry at Charlotte. They didn't dare to forcibly check the engineering plastic box in Charlotte's hands. In fact, they also knew that they didn't have the authority to check Charlotte's belongings. Charlotte snorted coldly and entered the villa with the engineering plastic box. The lights in Fanfan's laboratory were still on. Charlotte paused at the door of the laboratory, then pushed the door open and walked in. Fanfan was mixing a tube of biological medicine and looked very focused. Charlotte put the engineering plastic box under a table and said, I'm back. Only then did Fanfan notice that Charlotte had come in. She looked back at Charlotte, then turned her head back and said, Wait for me. I'll be ready soon. Charlotte walked over, took a look at the biological medicine that Fanfan was mixing, and then moved his eyes to a monitor. There were some drug names on the monitor, as well as some biochemical formulas, which looked very complicated. However, this complexity was only for others. In his eyes, these contents were not profound knowledge. He could understand it as long as his brain worked a little. It was this content that made Charlotte's heart skip a beat. Fanfan, are you studying that antidote? Yes, you can see it? Ha ha. Fanfan looked back and smiled. My idea is very correct, and today's work is also very smooth. I think I can succeed after a while. I thought you had succeeded. Charlotte said. Fanfan said, it's not that easy. This is a very complicated biological engineering. I have to try it step by step and find the right formula among a bunch of mistakes. Speaking up to here, she handed a tube of medicine in her hand to Charlotte, then said with a smile, Do you think it was successful? Let me tell you, once I put it in my body, it will make my body inflamed. Charlotte's gaze moved to the monitor again, and his brain suddenly switched to another mode. In his brain, countless drugs and biological materials appeared like snowflakes, as well as many biochemical formulas. His brain constantly disassembled the components of the drugs and biological materials, calculated, and then made a feasible combination. Mistakes appeared one after another, and each error gave a hint so that the next calculation and combination would move in the right direction. Fanfan was right. This kind of experiment was actually to find the right answer among a bunch of mistakes. Fanfan needed to try bit by bit, but Charlotte didn't need to. He only needed to use her brain to calculate and make a simulation combination. Therefore, the work that Fanfan needed 10 days to half a month, or even longer to complete, only needed a few minutes for him. Fanfan was immersed in her work, and Charlotte was also using his brain to do the same thing. After more than 10 minutes, Charlotte let out a slight breath, and a smile appeared on his face. Chapter 644. The morning sun pierced through the dark sky and cast a golden light. Fan got up from the bed, feeling weak all over. Last night, Charlotte tormented her for most of the night, making her exhausted but happy. Charlotte wasn't in bed. Fan looked in the direction of the window and saw that Charlotte was on the phone, but she couldn't hear what Charlotte was saying. She climbed out of the bed and got out of bed. A wisp of morning breeze swept across her naked body, bringing a coolness. She picked up the white lace that had fallen to the ground. Just as she put it on, Charlotte walked in from the balcony and looked at her with a smile. She covered her breast shyly. "How can you do this? Turn around and don't peek." Charlotte smiled. "What part of your body haven't I seen? I knew you would say that. You men are all like this. Everything is precious before you get it, and it's not precious after you get it." Fan curled up the corner of her mouth, then let go of her hand and put on the bra in front of Charlotte. Charlotte watched quietly, as if he was admiring a piece of art. "Have you seen enough?" Fan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. "You're so beautiful. I can't get enough of looking at you for a lifetime," said Charlotte. A sweet smile bloomed on Fan's face. There was no woman who didn't like such sweet words. Moreover, such warm and romantic sweet words came from the mouth of a man like Charlotte. The same words coming out of Beckham and Tyson's mouths definitely felt different. Fan put on her shirt and short skirt and said, "Who did you call just now?" Charlotte said, "I called that woman. She's already here. I'm going to see her. Do you want to go with me?" "I'm going." Fan was slightly stunned. "Is it appropriate for me to go?" "What's wrong with that?" Xiaolei said, "I like having you by my side." Fan smiled and said, "What's wrong with you today? You're saying so many sweet words to me." Charlotte said, "People always change. Don't you like it?" "I like it." Fan took Charlotte's arm. "I'll go with you to see that woman." Charlotte took Fan to his office. Not long after, Su Xiao arrived. Su Xiao came in with Long Bing, who looked very pale. Xiaolei and Long Bing looked at each other. Although the two of them did not communicate verbally, their gazes seemed to convey all the things that should be conveyed: care, worry, and affection. Su Xiao put a file on Charlotte's desk and said directly, "Mr. Xia, let's do what we agreed yesterday of." Charlotte opened the file and took out the contract inside. There were a total of 6 contracts in the file, 2 of which needed to be signed by the legal representative of the Thunderhorse Army Factory, 2 of which needed to be signed by the legal representative of the Shenzhou Industry Group, and 2 of which needed to be signed by the legal representative of the Hanwha Weapons Company. Charlotte briefly looked at the contract that needed a signature and said, "Why didn't the legal representatives of the Hanwha Weapons Company and the Shenzhou Industry Group come?" Su Xiao said, "You only need to sign where you should sign. As for the signatures of the Shenzhou Industry Group and the Hanwha Weapons Company, I will deal with them separately. But don't worry, there's no problem." "Don't sign it," Long Bing said aloud. "Don't let me be your stumbling block. Otherwise, I won't be at ease for the rest of my life." "Shut up." Su Xiao glared at Long Bing. Long Bing raised the corner of her mouth and her eyes were cold. "It's you who should shut up, bitch. I despise people like you who sacrifice the interests of the country for your own interests the most. Even if people like you become generals, you are just parasites." Su Xiao was about to lose her temper, but she saw that Charlotte was looking at her fiercely. She then controlled her anger and said, "Forget it. I won't argue with you." "Mr. Xia, sign it." Charlotte said lightly, "It's such a big thing. What's the point of me signing it? My Thunderhorse Army Factory is worth 10 billion yuan. Isn't it too hasty for you to ask me to sign it?" Su Xiao suddenly frowned. "What else do you want?" Xiaolei said, "Let's wait for everyone to arrive before we sign." "Wait until everyone is here?" Su Xiao suddenly reacted. "Who else did you invite?" Charlotte said lightly, "I've invited all the people who should be invited. I guess those who shouldn't be invited will come by themselves. So don't worry. There will be a satisfactory result for everyone. You just need to wait a little longer." Su Xiao's eyes moved to Fan. Fan's face was expressionless and calm, but the look in her eyes became complicated. Xiao walked to Long Bing's side and said in a low voice, "Trust me, nothing will happen." Long Bing nodded gently. At this time, Lucian walked in. "Chairman Xia, They're here. Charlotte said. Let them in. Okay. Lu Sheng moved closer to Charlotte's ear and whispered, I've prepared everything you asked me to prepare. Qin Xiang is also okay. Charlotte nodded. Go, go. Lu Sheng left. Su Xiao seemed to smell something wrong. Mr. Xiao, what's going on? We talked about it yesterday. What are you playing at? Charlotte shrugged. Am I playing tricks? Su Xiao's eyes were cold, and her tone was full of threat. You'd better think about what will happen to you if you don't sign these documents. Charlotte just smiled faintly. Don't worry. You? Su Xiao was angry on the spot. Charlotte walked to Su Xiao and looked at her face to face. Then he moved closer to her ear and whispered, Miss Su, I know who you're working for. You? Su Xiao was stunned. Charlotte didn't continue. He stepped away. Footsteps came from outside the door. It was not the footsteps of one person, but a group of people. Soon, Ling Hao and Yu Shana appeared at the door of the office. Behind them were Mu Jianfeng, Yi Kuan, and several people from the equipment department. Tang Tianlong was also among them. Seeing these faces, Su Xiao's face suddenly became gloomy. Fan Fan had been calm all this time, but when these faces appeared in front of her, she could no longer keep her calm. Ling Hao's eyes were fixed on Fan Fan the moment he appeared at the door. He had a smile on his face, but when he saw Fan Fan, the smile on his face disappeared. Mu Jianfeng was the happiest one. He laughed. Charlotte, I'm too lazy to wait for you to think it through. This is a good thing for the country and the people. You see, I prepared the contract as soon as I received your call. Yu Shana also smiled. Charlotte, today you signed it in public. From now on, the three companies will become one, and the new company will become the largest military enterprise in Asia. You're taking great credit. Charlotte smiled. Yes, this is indeed a good thing, but you're a step too late. Mu Jianfeng's smile suddenly froze on his face. What do you mean? Yu Shana's eyes also moved to Fan Fan. He seemed to realize something. Charlotte pointed to the 6 contracts on the desk, then pointed to Su Xiao and said, Miss Su came first. She also prepared the same contract for me. Tell me, should I sign it with you or with her? The office suddenly became quiet, and the atmosphere became strange. No one spoke, but their eyes were not idle. They looked at each other in the air like a net. This net caught everyone. Some people were prey, and some were hunters. Some people thought they were hunters, but they were actually prey. Some people looked like prey, but they were actually hunters. That was the way of the world. What the eyes saw and the ears heard could be false. Charlotte, Ling Hao said aloud. What do you mean? Did you call me here just to tease me? Charlotte said, Brother Ling, how dare I tease you? I'm just a nobody. I survive in the cracks of you big shots. I dare not offend anyone. You want to take away my Thunder Horse Army factory, and I'm willing to hand it over. I'm so cooperative. Did I do anything wrong? You called me here, but you called her here. What do you mean? Ling Hao looked at Su Xiao and said, Brother Ling, are you sure it's Miss Su? Charlotte smiled. Not someone else? Ling Hao frowned. What do you mean? Oh, I'm just saying. I don't mean anything else. Charlotte shrugged. Let's get down to business. Who should I sign the contract with? You called me here, of course, to sign the contract with me. Ling Hao said. Su Xiao glanced at Fan Fan and said, I discussed this with Mr. Xia, and I came first. Of course, you should sign the contract with me. With you? Not worthy. Ling Hao was full of anger. You. Su Xiao wanted to say something, but stopped. She seemed to be afraid of Ling Hao. At this time, Yu Shana said, Okay, this is a good thing for the country and the people. No matter who you sign with, we should focus on the result, not the process. Let me make the decision. Mr. Xia, you can sign directly with Old Mu and Yi Kuan. I agree. Yi Kuan couldn't wait and said, Mr. Xia, let's start now. Yes, sign the contract first, and then we could talk about other things. Mu Jianfeng was also a little impatient. Yi Kuan and Mu Jianfeng both took out the contract and were ready to sign it with Charlotte. Ling Hao and Fan Fan looked at each other, and their eyes were very complicated. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan were ready, but Charlotte said calmly, What's the hurry? Such a big thing. Even if you want to sign, You should first explain the situation clearly. Mr. Xiao, what else do you want to add? Please go ahead. Yu Shanha seemed very polite. Charlotte said slowly, "It's not impossible for you to take away my Thunder Horse military factory, but I have to say something first." He didn't say it at the critical moment, deliberately leaving them hanging. "Just say what you want to say." Yu Shanha urged. Boom! Suddenly, there was a violent explosion. The moment the explosion sounded, the office building trembled slightly, and a large part of the window glass was smashed. The timid Yi Kuan even lay on the ground, sticking out his fat butt, looking like a fat hamster avoiding danger. Fan Fan suddenly rushed to the window and looked in the direction of the villa. Her face suddenly became gloomy. The place where the explosion happened was her laboratory. Billowing smoke came out of the broken glass window and the hole in the wall, accompanied by the fire, and the messy reaction of chemical reagents came into her vision. At that moment, her heart sank into an icy valley. Chapter 645. An ear-piercing alarm sounded. Someone was shouting and running outside the office building. It was a mess. Ling Hao and Yu Shanhe also rushed to the window to see what had happened. They saw the villa with billowing smoke and the panicked Special Forces guards. The explosion was obvious, but no one knew what had happened. "Mr. Xiao, what's going on?" Yu Shanhe quickly came to his senses. Xiao Lei also went to the window and took a look. Then he said in surprise, "Aya, why did my house explode?" He emphasized the words "my house." Was he trying to remind the people in the office that it was his house that was built, not someone else's house? Not even a public house. "You?" Fan Fan stared at Charlotte and was stunned for a long time before she said, "You blew up my lab." "Did I blow it up?" Charlotte said calmly. "Would I blow up my own villa? It's worth millions." "Charlotte." Ling Hao was finally angry. He shouted at Charlotte, "How dare you?" Xiao Lei laughed. "All, you're finally not pretending with me anymore. Are you going to fall out with me?" "Charlotte, do you think I don't dare to teach you a lesson?" Ling Hao was furious. Xiao Lei still looked like he wouldn't panic even if the fire fell on his feet. "You dare, of course you dare. But I'm not a rabbit that can be stepped on. A rabbit will bite when it's anxious. So, if you want to teach me a lesson, you can try." Ling Hao turned hostile. Charlotte didn't want to be outdone, so he also showed his cards. "Charlotte, you called us here for this?" Yu Shanhe could still bear it, but his expression was extremely cold. Xiao Lei smiled. "That's right. This is the reason why I called all of you here. I want you to know what kind of person I, Charlotte, am and where my bottom line is." Everyone in the room stared at Charlotte. Charlotte looked at Ling Hao and said, "Mr. Z, Mr. Z from the ZN Bureau, am I right?" Ling Hao was stunned. He had been hiding his identity all this time, and he was confident that he had not revealed any flaws. But now, Charlotte had revealed his true identity. Charlotte's gaze shifted to Fan Fan again. "Fan Fan, I don't know your codename in the ZN Bureau, but I know you have the same position as Mr. Z, right?" Fan Fan moved her lips. She wanted to say something, but didn't. Charlotte continued, "You and Mr. Z put on a good show, and I was fooled by you. But because of a bureau chief position, you messed up the show again. If you and Mr. Z didn't fight for your own interests and didn't get involved in this, I wouldn't have seen through your identity. You can continue to stay by my side and continue to lie to me. Isn't that good?" Ling Hao's face was already very ugly. In the beginning, according to the plan formulated by the ZN Bureau, with Song Bai as a cover, Fan Fan successfully lurked around Charlotte and gained Charlotte's trust. This plan was executed quite beautifully and could even be said to be perfect. According to this plan, Charlotte's secrets would be dug out. However, at this critical juncture, the old bureau chief of the ZN Bureau was about to retire. In order to compete for political capital, he and Fan Fan got involved in the merger of the Thunder Horse Military Factory, Shenzhou Industrial Group, and Hanwha Weapons Company, which led to the present result. "You, when did you find out my identity?" Fan Fan's voice sounded a little weak. Charlotte smiled. "At first, I thought Miss Su was the one who competed with Mr. Z, but the trick you directed was too fake. It was hard for me not to see through it. In fact, after Su Xiao showed him the original report, he suspected her. Later, when he saw Fan Fan being attacked and fainted in the laboratory, he used his microvision ability to collect all the traces in the laboratory, thus confirming her identity. Su Xiao, from beginning to end, was just a cover as scapegoat. Su Xiao's status in the Xian Bureau was at most equal to that of Song Baiqing. The only difference was that Song Baiqing worked for Ling Hao, while she worked for Fan Fan. Fan Fan was silent because she had nothing to say. Her mood was also extremely complicated. Mr. Xia, do you think it's okay? You're wrong. You'll regret it. Su Xiao put her hand into her pocket. She searched around, but nothing came out. She suddenly pointed at Charlotte and said angrily, "You stole my phone." Charlotte spread out his hands. "You said I stole your phone?" After a pause, he laughed. "I'm a billionaire. Why would I steal your phone? How much do you earn a year? I'll give you 10 times that. You can come to my company to clean the toilet." "You." Su Xiao's face turned green for being humiliated like this. "How about I give you 100 iPhones as long as you apologize to me?" Charlotte said. At this time, Fan Fan took out her phone. She pulled out the card slot and looked at it. Her face suddenly changed. "Charlotte, you took my memory card. Are you two out of your mind?" One said I stole the phone, and the other said I stole the memory card. "Do you have evidence?" "If not," Charlotte suddenly said angrily, "then shut the F***ck up." The room suddenly became quiet, so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. It was not because Charlotte's words carried weight, nor was it because these people were afraid of Charlotte. On the contrary, these people could not believe that Charlotte would curse at them. A prey that was regarded as prey and hunted by a group of hunters actually roared at a group of hunters. The reason why the prey dared to roar at a group of hunters was because he had secretly destroyed the hunters' guns. Just last night, he had tortured Fan Fan for most of the night. When she was exhausted, he secretly removed the memory card of her phone. The original report was in that memory card. Just more than 10 minutes ago, he took advantage of the opportunity to get close to Su Xiao and stole her phone, because Su Xiao's phone had a photo of the original report. As for where the USB came from and who copied it, he also had an answer. It was Fan Fan. The USB had Fan Fan's fingerprints on it. It was not difficult to imagine that with Su Xiao's identity, it was impossible for Fan Fan to really let her have such an important original report. Even if it was given to Su Xiao, she would most likely order her to not copy it. Therefore, as long as he blew up the lab, stole Fan Fan's phone memory card, stole Su Xiao's phone, and destroyed the USB, the original report would disappear. Now, what could Fan Fan and Su Xiao use to threaten him? And even if Fan Fan still had the original report in her hands, he was not afraid, because this was not his only way to fight back. "Charlotte, I don't care about the matter between you and the Xian Bureau. I just want to say one thing. Are you going to sign this contract or not?" Yushana couldn't stand it anymore. He was also angry. Charlotte walked to the desk, woke up the monitor of the office computer, and then turned the monitor to face Yushanha, Mu Jianfeng, and the others. The computer monitor showed the 2 core workshops of the Thunder Horse Army factory. One was the core workshop of the first generation of the Thunder Dragon Intelligent Machine Tool, and the other was the core workshop of the second generation of the Thunder Dragon Intelligent Machine Tool. There was no one in these 2 workshops, but whether it was the complete first generation of the Thunder Dragon Intelligent Machine Tool or the second generation of the Thunder Dragon Intelligent Machine Tool that had not been assembled, they were all installed with explosive devices. The scene suddenly changed. A seductive man was holding a remote control and smiling at a camera. You actually want to blow up your machine tool?" Mu Jianfeng couldn't stand it anymore. He pointed at Charlotte, and his fingers were trembling. Charlotte said faintly, "You already said it's my machine tool. Why can't I blow it up?" Yushana roared, "How dare you?" Charlotte's voice suddenly turned cold. "Do I dare to blow it up? Good question. Why don't we make a bet? As long as you say you dare again, I'll immediately get my people to blow it up." Yushana pointed at Charlotte's nose, but he couldn't say the last word dare. If Charlotte blew up the only 2 most advanced intelligent machine tools in the world, who could bear the responsibility? What's more, these 2 intelligent machine tools could only be made by Charlotte alone. If Charlotte blew up these 2 intelligent machine tools, he wouldn't be able to make them in the future. The military industry here was a lot behind Europe and the United States. If such a thing happened, wouldn't the people above trample him into the mud? In fact, no matter what, Charlotte's real trump card, all his confidence, was his own ability. He was the only person who could make the Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool, and he was also the person who could improve the level of the entire military industry. His own value, to a certain extent, was tied to the interests of the country. Who dared to touch him? Whether it was Mr. Z, Fan Fan, or Yushana, he would appear humble and polite when he was tolerant. After all, this was the reality of society. People didn't fight with officials. He also had to follow some rules. But once his bottom line was crossed, he would shed all pretense of cordiality, and he wouldn't give face to anyone. "You don't dare to bet with me?" Charlotte sneered. "I can blow up my machine tool at any time and go overseas to build a factory. As long as I still have a pair of hands, I can make the third Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool, the fourth Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool, and I can make a comeback at any time. But if you fall, it will be difficult for you to get up again in this life." Yushana's face was livid, and he couldn't say a word. "Now, I'll give you 1 minute to get out of my place. Otherwise, I'll blow up my machine. In the future, the XL 2500 sniper rifle and Gale assault rifle will disappear from this land. All the advanced technology I've mastered will disappear as well." Charlotte raised his wrist and looked at his watch. "I'll start the countdown now." 10 seconds have passed. Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan looked at Yushanha at the same time. Yushanha gritted his teeth and said hatefully, "Let's go." Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan followed Yushanha and left. Ling Hao pointed at Charlotte with his finger. "You have guts, very good." After that, he also left. Fan Fan and Su Xiao didn't say anything, and they also walked to the office door. Charlotte suddenly stopped. "Fan Fan, wait a minute." Fan Fan looked back at Charlotte. "What else do you want to say?" Charlotte said, "The X-Mystic Gold project still needs your help. If you're still willing, you can find me at any time." Fan Fan was stunned. "You still want to work with me? It's just the X-Mystic Gold project. I don't want to be anyone's lab rat anymore." After a pause, Charlotte added, "You should understand what I mean." Fan Fan nodded and left. Charlotte let out a long sigh of relief. The reason why he still let Fan Fan participate in the X-Mystic Gold project was not because of Fan Fan's ability, but as a way to balance things out. He now had a falling out with Ling Hao. If he became an enemy of Fan Fan, it was tantamount to becoming an enemy of the entire Xian Bureau. This was not the result he wanted. He exposed Fan Fan's identity, and then extended an olive branch to her to help her compete with Ling Hao. This was tantamount to having one more friend in the Xian Bureau. No matter what the situation was, it was better to have one more friend than one more enemy. What's more, although the original report was destroyed, Fan Fan knew some of his secrets. He wanted to rope her in so that he could continue to keep this secret. Fan Fan's nod was also an expression of reaching an agreement. Chapter 646. The summer night sky was dotted with stars, and the cool night breeze blew in through the window, taking away the heat in the room. But it could only take away a part of it, not all of it, because the man and woman in the room were releasing the heat in their bodies. There seemed to be nothing in this world that could stop a man and a woman from enjoying each other's body and emotions. The monotonous exercise seemed to have infinite magic, luring the man and woman to go deeper and deeper, and then they would explode together. "You did a great job today." Long Bing softly nestled in Xia Lei's arms, her voice lacking the slightest strength. "Are you talking about blowing up Fan Fan's lab? I wanted to do that for a long time." Charlotte's hand was around her snow-white neck, but his forearm was around her shoulder, letting his palm fall on the pile of snow-white skin. He was a little proud of the woman's praise. "No, I'm not talking about that," Long Bing said lazily. Charlotte looked surprised. "Then what are you talking about?" Long Bing's hand slid down from his abdomen. "Well, I'm talking about this." Charlotte was speechless. Section Chief Long could be humorous sometimes, and it was good used dry humor. "I'm telling the truth. Didn't you notice? You're getting better and better at that. Long Bing wasn't a shy woman. She didn't beat around the bush at all when she said it. It was very natural. Charlotte smiled. Let's talk about something else. But if you want, I can do it again. No, no, no. Let me rest for a while. Long Bing changed the subject. What do you want to talk about? Where did Su Xiao take you? I don't know. Long Bing recalled the situation at the time. When I was brought there, she put a hood over my head. I couldn't see the road, but I knew that she deliberately drove the car in a big circle to bring me to the destination. Then she took me to a closed interrogation room. What did she ask you? I didn't ask anything. You didn't ask anything? She really didn't ask anything. I stayed there for nearly 30 hours, and then she took me to your company, Long Bing said. He didn't ask anything. It was obvious that he didn't want Long Bing to know too much. From the beginning, Fan Fan had only treated her as a bargaining chip that could be used, but this bargaining chip had always been active on the periphery of the gambling house, not involved in the core of the gambling house. Charlotte thought to himself, Fan Fan is really not a simple woman. However, on one hand, she's the most outstanding bioengineer in the country, and, on the other hand, she's a core member of the Xian Bureau. It would be strange if she's simple. He had been deceived by 3 women, Liang Xiao, Shinda Tianin, and Fan Fan. These 3 women were not simple, but if they were to rank first, second, and third, Fan Fan would be the well-deserved champion. In terms of lying, she was even better than Shinda Tianin. What are you thinking about? I'm the one who implicated you. Charlotte sighed and said apologetically, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't have encountered such a thing. Don't say things like that. I don't like to hear it. Long Bing glared at Charlotte. She knew that he had many secrets, but she never pried into them. She also knew that it was very unstable to be with him, but she never minded. Charlotte's heart was moved, and his palm also moved slightly. Then what do you like to hear? Long Bing suddenly turned over and pressed Charlotte under her body. Get in. Charlotte. In the dead of night, the sound of the wind and waves never ceased. The next morning, Long Bing left the Thunder Horse military factory. She was taken away by the Xian Bureau for investigation for no reason, but she didn't ask a single question from beginning to end. Charlotte sent Long Bing away and went to the villa alone. The villa wasn't destroyed, but only the room used by Fan Fan as a laboratory was blown up. More than half of the walls on both sides of the room had collapsed, but they weren't load-bearing walls, so they wouldn't affect the overall structure. As soon as Charlotte arrived, Wu Xiao strode towards him, his face full of anger. Mr. Xia, you brought in an engineering plastic box yesterday. The explosives were stored in that box, right? You're too reckless. Explosives? Charlotte said indifferently. Don't make random guesses. Let me tell you, there are cosmetics in that box. Wu Xiao was furious on the spot. As the colonel of the special forces that guarded the ancient alloy, when had he ever been teased like this? Charlotte used to be polite to him, but now he didn't have the slightest bit of respect for him. Charlotte continued, Colonel Wu, let me tell you, no matter who you're ordered by, no matter who you're working for, I have to remind you that this is my place. If you want me to respect you, you have to respect me first. If you don't respect me, from today onwards, there will be no food for you in the Thunder Horse military factory. There will be no place for you to stay. Oh, by the way, all the bathrooms in the Thunder Horse military factory are not for you to use. You have to go outside to solve it. Wu Xiao was stunned. Your duty is to protect the ancient alloy, and your authority is limited to that. Do you understand what I mean? It's best if you don't get involved in other things. That's all I'm saying. If you object, I'll immediately report it to the higher-ups and ask them to replace you. Charlotte's tone was very tough. No, no, no. I understand what you mean. Wu Xiao then softened. I don't know what my people have done to make you misunderstand, Mr. Xia, but I promise you that they will never appear again. Charlotte revealed a smile. Then it's a deal, Colonel Wu. It's a deal. Wu Xiao added. By the way, Mr. Xia, when are you going to repair this villa? Charlotte glanced at the destroyed laboratory and said, I don't plan to repair it. Just leave it like this. Just like this. Wu Xiao looked very surprised. Charlotte looked at Wu Xiaoguo. Can I? Wu Xiao was shrugged. You have the final say in your house. All right, you could go back to your work. Charlotte directly entered Fan's laboratory through the hole in the wall that had been blown open. The reason why he didn't repair the laboratory was very simple, and that was to let everyone who came here see its existence at a glance. In his determination, it's mine. I'll blow it up if I want it to. The laboratory was a mess. All kinds of scientific research equipment were smashed into pieces, and all the materials and samples inside were blown up. Seeing the mess in the room, Charlotte's mood relaxed. By blowing up the laboratory, turning against the Zen Bureau, and turning against Yushana, he had already sent a strong and tough signal to some people. Charlotte, am not someone you can manipulate however you want. If you want advanced technology, then don't touch me. If you want me as your goal, then you won't get anything. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You must let some people understand this, and let them know the price they need to pay for touching him. This incident was a turning point. Once he crossed this hurdle, his domestic resistance would temporarily disappear, and he could also shift his energy to the international market and the X-Secret Gold Project. The sound of footsteps came from behind him. It was the unique sound of high heels tapping on the ground. Charlotte turned around and saw Fan. She was wearing a tight white t-shirt with a black miniskirt. The degree of her breasts bulging was exaggerated, and her slender waist set off the two peaks. Her round but was hidden under the miniskirt, and it suddenly rose between her long legs and slender waist, giving a strong visual impact. She was still so sexy. Their eyes met. Charlotte was calm, but Fan looked a little awkward. Mr. Xia. Fan wanted to say something, but stopped. Charlotte just nodded. Fan reached out and adjusted the frame of her glasses. Okay, I'm sorry. Charlotte nodded again. Fan shrugged. I say, don't you want to scold me a little? You can even give me a slap. I don't mind. I'm serious. Charlotte then said, is that necessary? What's the point of me scolding you and slapping you a few times? Then can we still? Fan stared at Charlotte out of the corner of her eye. She didn't finish her sentence, but she was already observing Charlotte's reaction. Although she didn't finish her sentence, Charlotte knew that she wanted to ask if they could go back to their previous relationship. He smiled. Do you want to continue studying me? You know I'm not talking about that, Fan said. Charlotte changed the topic. I know you and Ling Hao are competitors. I can help you get more political capital than him and help you get the director position that you want. But the condition is that you keep my secret. Also, you can't plot against me anymore. Fan smiled bitterly. I've already nodded and agreed to what you said yesterday. What I said was, the topic went back to the original point. Charlotte looked straight at Fan, but he couldn't tell if she was serious or pretending. He didn't know what other motives she had, such as continuing to study him, or getting pregnant with his super little Lei, or something. She looked gentle and pretty like a university professor, but in fact, she was a powerful and unfathomable person. Forget it. Maybe I'm too anxious. Fan smiled awkwardly. I'll give you some time, and some time for myself. Charlotte nodded. Fan said again. Also, I have to make things clear. I lied to you, but you lied to me too. Don't deny it. You knew your motive when you came to hit on me. I knew you were lying to me, but I was willing to let you lie to me. The time I spent with you was the happiest time of my life, and I don't regret it at all. So, don't build a wall in your heart just because I lied to you. In fact, only 3 people know about your secret. Me, you, and my subordinate Su Xiao. She definitely has no problem with her loyalty, so you don't have to worry. Do you want to say that we're even? Charlotte smiled faintly. Well, then we're even. Then let's shake hands. Fan reached out a soft hand to Charlotte. Charlotte held her hand. At that moment, he clearly felt a very obvious sensitive reaction on her skin. Such a reaction couldn't be faked. Don't observe. My special constitution is real. I didn't lie to you about that. Fan rolled her eyes at Charlotte. It's not like you haven't done it with me before. It's not like you don't know what my situation is. Charlotte smiled a little awkwardly. All right. Fan withdrew her hand. I brought you a gift today. You brought me a gift? I brought a CEO of China Construction Bank over. He's in your office. You can talk to him when you have time. He can lend you 20. 1 billion, Fan Fan said. Charlotte. Chapter 647. It was a good thing that the bank had come looking for him. Walking out of the villa, Charlotte suddenly said, Fan Fan, wait for me. I'm going to the bathroom. Okay, I'll wait for you, Fan Fan said. Charlotte entered a bathroom in the villa and took out his phone to call Qin Xiang. Call my office's landline in 10 minutes and pretend to be someone from the bank. Got it. Qin Xiang's voice came from the phone. Why do you pretend to be someone from the bank? Don't worry about that. Just call them one by one and pretend to be the boss of ICBC or Agricultural Bank. Then what should I say? Whatever you say, but keep your voice down. Okay, I'll call in 10 minutes. Qin Xiang hung up. Charlotte put away his phone and left the bathroom after 2 minutes. After walking out of the villa, he led Fan Fan to the office building. The CEO of CCB who followed Fan Fan was obviously not the CEO of the main branch, but the CEO of a branch. His surname was Chun Zhang, and he was in his 50s. He was fair and chubby, and it was obvious that he was a pampered person. This Chun Zhang was very polite to Charlotte. As soon as Charlotte arrived, he stood up and greeted him. He took the initiative to shake hands with Charlotte, and his face was full of smiles. Chairman Xia, I came uninvited. I hope I didn't disturb you. Charlotte chuckled. CEO Chun, you're too polite. A few days ago, my people went to your bank to get a loan, but they ran into a wall everywhere. Now that you've come uninvited, I can't be happier. How is it disturbing? Chun Zhang looked at Fan Fan awkwardly. However, Fan Fan spoke up for Charlotte. That's right. It's your fault that your banks didn't give the Thunder Horse Army Factory a loan. The Thunder Horse Army Factory is such an outstanding enterprise. Are you afraid that you won't be able to get a loan? You guys sometimes care too much about someone's face. Is it that useful for someone to greet you? More useful than a market economy? Really? These words not only stunned Chun Zhang, but also stunned Charlotte. Didn't she have a part in greeting those banks? Fan Fan was the only one who could play the role of a bandit and a swordsman without changing her expression between the two roles. Ahem. Charlotte coughed twice and didn't expose Fan Fan's line. He changed the topic and said, Mr. Chun, what can I do for you? Chun Zhang sneered. Chairman Xia, what else could I possibly want from you? I knew that the Thunder Horse Military Factory urgently needed a loan of 20 billion, so I rushed over immediately. Look, I even brought the loan contract. As long as you sign it, the loan will be transferred to your account this afternoon. He really did bring the loan contract. It was in his briefcase. He took out the loan contract from his briefcase and placed 2 copies neatly on Charlotte's desk. Xiaolei glanced at the loan contract. He did not sign it, nor did he say that he would not sign it. Instead, he stared at the watch on his wrist from the corner of his eye. Chun Zhang said with a smile, Chairman Xia, take a look. If there's no problem, let's sign it. Charlotte said, there's no problem, but ring, 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 ring. The phone on the desk suddenly rang. Sorry, I have to answer a call first. Charlotte picked up the phone and said, This is Charlotte. May I ask who you are? Qin Xiang's voice came from the receiver of the phone, as light as a mosquito. How many times did you and Long Bing have sex in a lounge in your office last night? Several black lines suddenly appeared on Charlotte's forehead, but he still looked serious. Oh, so you are from ICBC. You want to give me a loan? Yes, I need a loan, but... Okay, let's not talk about the past. I also know that you have your difficulties. Let's get straight to the point. I want a loan of 20 billion. How much interest do you want? Qin Xiang's voice came from the phone. You don't know, just Department Chief Long's moans almost made me straighten. Chun Zhang didn't know who was calling Charlotte and what they were talking about. He looked at Fan Fan as if he was asking for help, but the latter looked like she didn't care. 2% interest for a year? Charlotte frowned. This is a bit high. I know it's a discount, but 2%, can it be lower? And let me think about it. A year's interest was 6%, and ICBC's interest was 2%. This was indeed a big discount. Charlotte just put down the phone, and the phone rang again. Agricultural Bank? I say, what's going on with you? A few days ago, my people begged you for a loan, and you didn't even meet them. Okay, let's not talk about the past. I also know your difficulties. Let's talk about it. 4. 1% interest for a year? How much is 5 years? 4. 8% in 5 years? Let me think about it. Wait for my call. Chun Zhang secretly wiped the sweat on his forehead with the back of his hand. Charlotte put down the phone again, and it suddenly rang again. Charlotte was about to pick up the phone, but Chun Zhang suddenly reached out and held Charlotte's hand. Chairman Xia, don't answer the phone. How about this? 4. 5% interest for a 5-year loan we will lend to you. The interest for a 5-year loan was 15%, and Chun Zhang was offering 5% interest, which was a big discount. 20 billion, at least 3 billion interest for 5 years. Charlotte was obviously tempted, but he still pretended to be hesitant. At this time, Fan Fan said, how about this, President Chun? For my sake, give Charlotte another 2% discount and 1% discount. What do you think? This time, it was Chun Zhang's turn to hesitate. A 5-year interest rate of 5% was already a big discount, and another 2% discount would be 3%. This kind of loan interest rate was almost a full discount. One had to know that the interest rate of a loan was 200 million yuan in real money. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. This time, Charlotte didn't wait for Chun Zhang to press his hand, and he picked up the phone. What are you doing? Why didn't you answer my call just now? Didn't you ask me to call? I said that you were having an affair with Long Bing, and you got angry? You're a man. How can you be so calculative with a woman? Qin Xiang's voice. Charlotte's voice. Hua Xing? You guys are really... Okay, I'll let bygones be bygones. You're good friends with my wife. Hey, she's my ex-wife, okay? If you have something to say, then say it. I really need a loan. I want a 20 billion loan. Just give me a 5-year interest rate. 15%? Okay. Chun Zhang abruptly pressed the end button on the phone. Mr. Chun, what do you mean by this? Charlotte looked at Chun Zhang. 1%. Chun Zhang gritted his teeth and said hatefully, 20 billion, 5-year interest rate of 1%. We will give you the loan, but we want to sign a long-term contract. The next time you want a loan, you have to consider us first. Charlotte shrugged. Fine, we will sign the contract now. Half an hour later, Chun Zhang left Charlotte's office. Fan Fan gave Charlotte a thumbs up. You're really ruthless. I gave you my face and lowered the interest rate to 3%, but you lowered it to 1%. Charlotte said, I can't help it. It's a market economy, and if he doesn't lend, someone else will lend to me. Fan Fan smiled. Those calls just now were really from ICBC, Agricultural Bank, etc. The act just now could fool a person like Chun Zhang, but to fool a woman like Fan Fan, it was very difficult. What do you think? Charlotte looked at her. I believe you, Fan Fan said. Then I also thank you, Charlotte said. Just based on a matter just now, Fan Fan had actually helped a lot. If not for her using her face to bring Chun Zhang over, giving him a chance to act, and Chun Zhang giving face to Fan Fan, he would not have been able to get such a low interest rate loan. Then how are you going to thank me? Fan Fan crossed her legs. Her snow-white long legs drew a beautiful trajectory in the air, and there was a flash of white lace that disappeared in the blink of an eye. That scenery was mysterious, fertile, and extremely mature. Even if it appeared for a short time, it could still entice people to delve deeper and fantasize. A faint smile appeared on the corner of Charlotte's mouth. What do you want to do? My lab has been destroyed. I want to... Fan Fan flipped her hair, but intentionally or unintentionally, she loosened her collar, revealing a patch of snow-white skin. Her skin was whiter than snow and more tender than frost. Charlotte's eyes stared straight at her, but the words that should be said were not ambiguous at all. You won't have a new lab, at least not with me. Fan Fan curled her lips. Is there no room for negotiation? Xiaolei said indifferently. You just tricked me. Don't tell me you expect me to jump into your pit again. Okay, I won't rebuild my lab. However, the X-Secret Goal project still has to be carried out. My grandfather and I will always be members of the X Secret Gold Project. Now I want to hear your plan. You said that you will help me get the position of the director of the ZN Bureau. Now I can only rely on the X Secret Gold Project. Fan Fan said. Charlotte thought for a moment. Give me another 2 months. At that time, the Thunderhorse Army factory will probably have completed its comprehensive upgrade. The second generation of my Thunder Dragon intelligent machine tool should also be born. After that, I will give you an answer. 2 months? Fan Fan furrowed her brows. This is the minimum amount of time needed. There is no room for negotiation. Okay, I'll come back after a while. Fan Fan's long white legs drew a beautiful line in the air again. This time, her legs paused in the air for twice as long as the previous time. It was also in this period of time that the mysterious, protruding, and fertile landscape was revealed once again. Charlotte's lower abdomen was already ignited by her, but his expression was still calm. He said indifferently, "What are you doing here? Don't forget, in addition to the X-Secret Gold Project, I am also studying your little tadpoles. I will soon make an antidote. Don't you want to try it? Try it." The charcoal fire in Charlotte's lower abdomen burned even more vigorously. Fan Fan simply spread her legs and didn't mind Charlotte's glowing eyes. Her smile also became sweeter and more attractive. Also, although you blew up my lab and destroyed the data and samples, I know your secret. You want me to help you keep your secret? I am taking a huge risk. Do you think I will be stupid enough to help you with a promise to help me get the position of the ZN Bureau Director? You have to pay the same price. Charlotte frowned. What do you want? Fan Fan said, I am best at bioengineering. I am very curious about what the offspring of a person like you will be like. I think it will be a miracle. You want a child? For you, my request is actually very pleasant, isn't it? Haven't you slept with enough women? I am not one more. Charlotte. Fan Fan's hand slowly reached into her short skirt. The small white lace slowly moved down and finally stopped on her knees. Damn! Charlotte suddenly became like an enraged beast as he pounced on the snow-white lamb sitting on the sofa. You asked for this, bitch. Oh! Fan Fan exclaimed. The sofa suddenly fell to the ground. But this was not the end, but the beginning. There was no gentleness, only a beast. Chapter 648. At the same time, in a room of a hotel, Gu Qian was sitting on the sofa watching TV. The program on the TV was the live broadcast of China's CATV. The dignified and beautiful female host, the handsome and sunny Charlotte, gave people the impression that this news program was not a national TV news host interviewing the boss of a military enterprise, but an entertainment host interviewing a recently popular male star. Do you want me to sneak back to China? Is there no progress, or you don't want to tell me? That kid really doesn't know how to appreciate favors. Yi Kuan looked at Charlotte, who was being interviewed by the CATV female host. His eyes were like a poisonous snake. He's not in the system. Why does he want such a big credit? Honor? How much is honor worth? Going against all of us for the sake of honor. I think he's a complete idiot. Can he defeat all of us? Oomph. There's no progress yet. There were actually 2 reasons why he couldn't let Fan Fan know, one of which was naturally the correct antidote, and the other was the anti-antidote that restrained the correct antidote. Fan Fan wanted a child of his. She called it a miracle. Would he give it to her if she wanted it? Of course not. As long as Fan Fan developed the correct antidote, then his anti-antidote would work. The biological engineer called it a miracle child. Only the woman he wanted to give birth to his child would be able to give birth to his child. And that woman must be the woman he loved deeply. I advise you to give up this idea. Don't forget, that kid has something on us. I never thought it would be like this. Ling Hao smiled bitterly. We've worked hard for nothing, exposed our identity, and got nothing. What else can we do? Mu Jianfeng's eyes fell on Yu Shanhe in the distance. A sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Even Mr. Yu can't suppress Charlotte. What else can we do? Huh. The Americans probably can't sit still. Among the visitors, Sherborne's voice was very loud. Life is full of ups and downs. Now we don't have to look at the Americans. Surround us? Dream on. Without outside interference, Charlotte devoted most of his energy to building the second generation of the Lei Long smart machine tool. The rest of his energy was devoted to developing an antidote. His brain had already come to the correct conclusion. It was not difficult to develop an antidote to suppress the tadpole toxin. The difficult part was to find a lot of biological and medicinal materials, and he could not let Fan Fan know. My struggles? That would take an entire day. However, I will simply say a few words. In this world, there is nothing that cannot be done, only things that cannot be done. We young people should first set a correct goal, and then strive hard towards this goal. It doesn't matter how much sweat and effort you put in, as long as you do it, you will reap the rewards. Fan Fan raised her eyebrows slightly. Don't talk nonsense. I only came to the Thunder Horse military factory for the X-Secret Gold Project. Charlotte and I are just partners. We can't even be considered friends. When I lurked around Charlotte, it was also to carry out the orders of the old director. Charlotte already knew my identity and purpose. He was very wary of me and almost didn't even talk to me. There were also people who were unhappy. They were the counterparts in the military industry led by Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. Since ancient times, those who sold flour did not like those who sold lime. Now that the Thunder Horse military factory had risen strongly and was eyeing the arms market all over the world, how could they be happy? Early in the morning, many cars came to the Thunder Horse military factory. Some of these cars were from government departments, some were from the military, and some were from the media, including China Cat's news interview car. They came to the Thunder Horse military factory for one thing. That was the birth of the second generation of the Lei Long smart machine tool and the completion of the artillery production line of the Thunder Horse military factory. Hypocrite! Gu Qian suddenly took off her slippers from her feet and smashed them on the TV. Ling Hao noticed something and looked over. When he saw the old man, his expression suddenly became respectful and serious. Gu Qian turned on the earthworm plan, and soon a sneer appeared on the corner of her mouth. Yimasha took out a document bag from the sundry box in the cleaning car and threw it at Gu Qian. 2 months later, the old man passed by Ling Hao and Fan Fan without saying a word. My feelings? Charlotte smiled very innocently. I feel very happy. Mr. Xia, congratulations on your world-renowned achievements. Before the end of the program, can you talk about your feelings? Tokyo, Japan. There was a document in the file bag. On the cover page was the earthworm plan written in English. During this period, Jiang Rui came to the capital to study and lived in the Thunder Horse military factory for a week. Charlotte usually didn't have time to go to Haizhu to accompany her. Since she came to the capital, he naturally accompanied her every night. Jiang Rui was also very clear about her role beside Charlotte. She couldn't force anything. She was satisfied that Charlotte could accompany her occasionally. This week, she was very happy. The old man did not walk far before he stopped. He stood in the crowd and quietly watched Xia Lei, who was being interviewed. His face was expressionless, and his eyes were very special. They were like the stars in the deep night sky, quietly twinkling with a cold, eerie light. These two things could be combined into one, but only this one thing marked a qualitative improvement in China's military industry. The door of the guest room suddenly opened, and a tall female cleaner pushed a cleaning cart into the room. When the female cleaner closed the door, Gu Qian suddenly stood up from the sofa and said respectfully, Miss Yimasha, why are you here? Yimasha said, after the failure of the last German operation, Charlotte fled back to China. Both the CIA and our FA organization regard that land as a forbidden area, and it is inconvenient to take action. But the people above have lost patience. Even if it is in China, we have to take action. Teacher, can you accept the reality? You have nothing to lose. Now Charlotte doesn't even answer my phone, but you can still come to his company every now and then. Ling Hao's eyes were full of the meaning of testing. You and him, are you serious? On the other side, Ling Hao and Fan Fan also met. The two looked at each other for a full minute before they began to speak. In the core workshop of the second generation of Lei Long intelligent machine tool, The female anchor of CATV faced the camera with a smile on her face and said excitedly, "Dear audience friends, I am now giving a live report to you in the Le Mans military factory under the Rema Group. Behind me is the new generation of intelligent machine tool of the Le Mans military factory, Le Long Intelligent Machine Tool 2. I believe you have seen it. It is a big guy. It weighs 1,000 tons. It is the most advanced integrated intelligent machine tool in the world today, and it represents a leap in our manufacturing and military industry. It is the pride of our country, the pride of our people." Fan Fan and Ling Hao looked at each other. Without another word, they went their separate ways. Just then, an old man appeared in front of her, and she immediately closed her mouth. The loan was taken, the trouble of the Le Mans military factory was gone, and everything was back on track. Russian and Ukrainian equipment and related technical personnel were continuously flowing to the Le Mans military factory, and the related upgrade project and technical transformation were in full swing. The production workshop for artillery, tanks, and defense systems was also under rapid construction. At the current speed, it would not take long for a powerful military enterprise to rise from the ground, stand on the land of Asia, and look down on the whole world. There was no need for any sense of mystery in the Le Mans military factory, because it itself was synonymous with power, advanced, and confidence. CATV chose to report the birth of the second generation of Le Long Intelligent Machine Tool and the artillery production line at this time. The purpose was also very clear. That was to send a signal to the world that China's manufacturing and military industry was no longer the state of relying on imitation and imports in the past. It had already risen. Gu Qian caught it with both hands. "Don't jump to conclusions so early. This is not your action plan alone. Take a look first." Yamosa's voice was very cold, without a trace of emotion. Yamosa said lightly, "Open it and take a look." Without outside interference, the progress of the second generation of Le Long Intelligent Machine Tool was very fast. "You are already the idol of many young people. Can you tell them about your struggle experience?" "Earthworm plan?" Gu Qian couldn't help but read it out, full of doubts. The interview was over. Several of the military officers who came with Sherborne were chatting and laughing, each one of them looking proud and elated. In the past, when CATV broadcast this kind of news, they usually did not say the real name of the company, usually using a certain company or a certain production base instead. But today, the female anchor of CATV directly said the Le Mans military factory without any concealment. Not for anything else, but because of pride and confidence, she did not need to say that a certain product or weapon was comparable to similar products or weapons in Western countries, like in the past, but used the word most advanced. "What do you mean?" "Let me tell you." "Akuan," Mu Jianfeng sighed. "Don't act like a resentful woman. Things have developed to this point. There is nothing we can do, except the reality." "Well said, Mr. Xia. Do you have any goals now?" "Yes, of course. My goal is to make Rema Group the world's top military industry group. I am here to challenge those veteran military industry groups. I want to occupy their market." A week later, Jiang Rui left the capital, and Charlotte was busy again. "How is the X-Secret Gold project going?" Ling Hao changed the topic. "Can't we think of another way?" Fan Fan was very relaxed. She said lightly, "Charlotte is not a simple person. He is not so easy to subdue. But this is good. Anyway, the technology of the Le Mans military factory is our country." Gu Qian opened the file bag. "Thank you, Mr. Xia. I wish you success." Chapter 649. The Thunder Horse military factory was as lively as ever. The previous interviews and visits were only part of the celebration. The first artillery test of the Thunder Horse military factory was the highlight of the celebration. A large group of people left the Thunder Horse military factory under the leadership of Charlotte and came to an open space outside the new factory. At the end of the open space was a small hill with a bare top. There was a target made of concrete and steel plates on it. It was not big, equivalent to a main battle tank. There There was a makeshift stone platform in the middle of the clearing, which was covered with a large piece of military canvas. Judging from the bulging outline of the canvas, there seemed to be a big guy hidden inside. However, because the canvas could not transmit light, the visitors could not see the content under the canvas at all. It looks like a self-propelled artillery. An artillery expert beside Mu Jianfeng said. This time, Mu Jianfeng had specially brought artillery experts from the Shenzhou Industry Group to visit the newly built artillery workshop of the Thunder Horse military factory. The purpose was to determine what level of artillery technology the Thunder Horse military factory had reached. This was very important for the Shenzhou Industry Group, which produced heavy weapons. Mu Jianfeng also carefully looked at the thing covered by the military canvas, then said, "It does look like a self-propelled artillery. It's a big guy, but that's impossible." The artillery production line of the Thunder Horse military factory was completed not long ago. How could it produce a heavy weapon like a self-propelled artillery? The artillery expert from the Shenzhou Industry Group said, "Yes, it's easy to produce artillery, but it's not so simple to produce self-propelled artillery. It requires the technology of armored vehicles, related fire control system technology, and so on. How could the Thunder Horse military factory build self-propelled artillery in such a short period of time?" Yikuan came over. "Don't forget, that kid is best at winning by surprise. The more we think it's impossible, the more likely it is." Mu Jianfeng frowned. "Kuan, do you also think that Charlotte has produced self-propelled artillery?" Yi Kuan nodded with a serious expression. To some extent, self-propelled artillery was almost equivalent to a tank, because except for the difference in shooting angle, it was almost a tank. Its armor was weaker than a tank, but it was much more powerful than a tank. Therefore, in order to build a heavy weapon like the self-propelled artillery, not only did they need artillery technology, they also needed to master the technology of armored vehicles. This was precisely what the Thunder Horse military factory currently did not have. However, if the military canvas was covered with a self-propelled artillery, it meant that the Thunder Horse military factory had mastered this technology and used it in actual production. This was a very bad thing for Shenzhou Industry Group and Hanwha Weapons Company. Similar discussions also appeared in other places. Many people believe that there was a self-propelled artillery the size of a tank hidden under the military canvas. But with the current capabilities of the Thunder Horse military factory, no one was willing to believe that it could produce such heavy weapons. Time returned to that night 2 months ago. Long Bing suddenly turned over and pressed on Charlotte's body. She said to Charlotte in a commanding tone, "Get in." Charlotte suddenly thought of something. "Bing, this time the Thunder Horse military factory will be fully upgraded. The first thing to be built is the artillery workshop. The easiest thing to produce and put on the market is also artillery. Tell me, what kind of artillery should I make for my first artillery?" Long Bing suddenly lay on Charlotte's chest like a punctured balloon. Her cheeks were red, and her beautiful eyes were full of anger. "You're talking to me about artillery at this time?" Charlotte looked very serious. "I just had an inspiration." "All right, I give up." "What's the inspiration?" "I don't know what's going on. It's too fast. I don't know what inspiration it is. But I'm sure that you must have triggered it." "Me?" Long Bing looked confused. She couldn't think of what she had done to trigger Charlotte's inspiration. "Yes, you. I have a hunch that it's great. If I can capture it, it will definitely become an amazing character in the world of artillery." Charlotte was very excited. Long Bing bit her lip. Her eyes were watery. "Do you really want to talk to me about your artillery at this time? Why don't you do everything you did just now again? Maybe I can capture the inspiration just now." Charlotte couldn't wait. "Hurry up." Long Bing nodded gloomily, then climbed down from Charlotte's body and returned to his arms. Then she slid one hand down his lower abdomen. "What are you doing?" Charlotte suddenly became nervous. "Didn't you ask me to repeat what I just did?" Long Bing was not disturbed by Charlotte. Charlotte's frown eased. Then you continue. "What are you thinking about?" "What else can I think about? This is so funny." "Yes, this is so funny. Can we not be so funny?" "Then what are we doing?" Long Bing suddenly turned over and pressed on Charlotte's body. Her breathing was rapid. "Get inside." Charlotte suddenly shouted, "Wait. Say that again." Say what again? That's what you said. Give it to me. Longbing's face suddenly turned red. She was a woman who was rarely shy, but after being played by Charlotte, she couldn't stand it anymore. She wanted to find a hole to hide in. Say it. Charlotte's eyes were full of desire. Longbing gently bit her cherry lips and suddenly said fiercely, "Get inside." Charlotte was stunned for a moment, then suddenly laughed. That's it. That's it. I know, this is great. Grate your head. Longbing grabbed the pillow beside her and smashed it on Charlotte's head, back to the present. In the crowd of visitors, Longbing stopped to look at the piece of military canvas, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She never thought that she would help Charlotte in his career, but the first artillery of the Thunder Horse Military Factory was actually credited to her. Every time she thought of this, she felt a little sense of accomplishment and couldn't help but feel happy. What are you laughing at? Tang Yuyin came over. Do I need to tell you what I'm laughing at? Longbing's mind was originally recalling the romantic story of that night, but it was interrupted by Tang Yuyin, and that happy feeling suddenly disappeared. You rarely smile in a year. When you smile, there must be something, Tang Yuyin said. Longbing simply ignored Tang Yuyin. Forget it. I'm not interested in knowing if you don't tell me. Tang Yuyin pointed to the military canvas on the stone platform. Many people are guessing that there is a self-propelled artillery under it. What do you think? Charlotte's artillery. Of course, it is the best artillery. Longbing's mind seemed to be imagining something, and her expression was a little strange. What artillery are you referring to? Tang Yuyin's sixth sense was stronger. N. Longbing coughed dryly. Of course it's artillery. Otherwise, what kind of artillery do you think it is? I'm asking what kind of artillery under the canvas is. What kind of artillery are you talking about? I'm talking about the artillery under the canvas, of course. What artillery is it? Artillery your head. If you talk nonsense again, I'll give you a shot. Longbing was a little irritated. Tang Yuyin laughed. Did you take the wrong medicine? Give me a shot. Do you have a cannon? After a pause, she probed. Have you seen Charlotte's cannon? Longbing was speechless. While the two women were bickering, Charlotte, accompanied by Ryu Yungnam, climbed up the temporary stone platform. Everyone's eyes were focused on Charlotte. Chairman Xia, you reveal it, Ryu Yungnam said. Charlotte nodded, reached out, and grabbed a corner of the military canvas. Then he forcefully lifted it. The military canvas left the ground and swayed down with the wind. A rectangular wooden platform was revealed on the stone platform, and the wooden platform was covered with a red carpet. On the carpet, there was a 1.5-meter-long artillery with a strange shape. Its caliber was about 60 millimeters, which was equivalent to a light mortar. However, it was not a mortar. Its body was also much longer than a mortar. What was even more peculiar was that its mount wasn't a triangular frame, but was instead composed of two parts. One part was a straight alloy frame that could be rooted into the ground, and there was only one of it. The other part was a combined bracket at the tail. It was like the shape of a clamshell, but it was not a pure clamshell shape. It had a very complex mechanical structure. What the hell, what is this? In the crowd of visitors, the artillery expert of Shinjo Industry Group widened his eyes, but he was still confused. He couldn't even figure out the doorway. So it's not a self-propelled artillery. What kind of artillery is this? Can this thing fire cannons? It can definitely fire, but I suspect it can only shoot 100 meters. Haha, Thunder Horse Military Factory is going to be a joke this time. Not producing the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the Gale assault rifle, but learning from others to make cannon. Isn't this smearing dust on your own face? I really don't understand what Charlotte is thinking. Yeah, young people nowadays just love to be in the limelight and make all kinds of strange things. There was a lot of discussion, and almost no one was optimistic about this never-before-seen miniature artillery. Only Longbing. As soon as the strange miniature artillery appeared, the smile on the corner of her mouth became more obvious. In the midst of the doubts, Charlotte picked up the strange-looking miniature artillery and opened the clamshell-shaped bracket structure at the tail of the cannon. What happened next left everyone dumbfounded. The strange-looking tail bracket automatically opened up and wrapped around his shoulders. In just a few blinks of an eye, the tail bracket was combined with his body, human and cannon as one. It's actually such a design? Some people were very surprised. Such a design is just opportunistic, an artillery expert said. Yes, the power of the artillery is very strong, and the recoil is also amazing. He combined the artillery with his body, and the recoil, when firing, can shatter his shoulders. This is not artillery, it's simply a suicide device. What's the use of designing it like this except to surprise people? Another artillery expert said. Indeed, the recoil of the artillery was not comparable to that of a gun. The gunpowder energy of shell was hundreds or even thousands of times that of a gun's ammunition. Some ordinary people's bodies couldn't withstand the recoil of a gun, let alone artillery. From this point of view, the artillery designed by Charlotte was really a suicidal design. But was that really the case? Chapter 650. Two workers carried a wooden box onto the stage. One of the workers opened the wooden box, which contained 8 shells. The 8 shells looked like a gun bullet that had been magnified dozens of times, not a mortar shell. From the appearance of the shell, it could be ruled out that Charlotte's cannon was a mortar. The 8 shells had already sent a signal to the people present. Although I am small, I am a real cannon, not a mortar. Ryu Youngnam stood beside Charlotte with a microphone. Charlotte's voice was transmitted through the microphone to the loudspeaker equipment, and everyone in the shooting range could hear it. I believe everyone has seen it. This is the first cannon of our Thunder Horse military factory, and its name is Hellhound. Hellhound. That was the name of the first cannon of the Thunder Horse military factory. Although its shape had nothing to do with the dog, its strangeness and the cold aura it emitted could give people an invisible pressure. Hellhound? What kind of name is that? Yi Kuan snorted under the stage. Is that all the culture of people who came from construction sites? I bet that if Charlotte dared to operate it himself, he would be crippled. An artillery expert said disdainfully. What hellhound? The name is fierce, but it's definitely just for show. There's no practical use at all. Hellhound? Why did you give it such a name? God Dragon Cannon or something else sounds better than this name. Although it was just a name, it had already caused a lot of discussion. Many people were originally competitors of the Thunder Horse military factory. Coupled with their preconceived notions, they were naturally not stingy with their words of ridicule. Charlotte's voice sounded again. Everyone, please be quiet. Even if you want to laugh at me, you have to wait until I make a fool of myself, right? After this sentence, the scene suddenly quieted down. Charlotte then said, Some of you must be wondering why I gave the first cannon of the Thunder Horse military factory such a name. Let me tell you. Hellhound comes from Romanian mythology. It was born of the 100-handed giant Typhon and Cadena, and was the pet of Hecate, the goddess of the underworld. It guarded the gates of hell and prevented the undead from escaping from hell. The first cannon of our Thunder Horse military factory is similar to a hellhound, but doesn't stop the undead from escaping from hell. Instead, it stops the enemy from entering and sends them to hell. What's the point of talking about all this? Even if you give it an evil name and boast about its performance to the heavens, you still have to be able to do it. Someone deliberately stirred up trouble. Charlotte ignored him and continued. I believe everyone has seen it. It's a one-man artillery. It weighed 35 kilograms in total and 40 kilograms after being loaded with shells. With such a weight, any warrior could handle it and carry it through the complicated jungles and mountains. More importantly, it uses a special artillery shell developed by our Thunder Horse military factory with a range of 2,500 meters and an error of only 5 meters. Its power was no less than that of a 120mm smoothbore cannon. And let me tell you, it's a rifled cannon. On the battlefield, a soldier, a hellhound cannon, and a special armor-piercing bullet we developed will become a tank killer. There was a large number of stunned faces in the audience. Such a small cannon. and it was fired from a person's shoulder, its power was no less than that of a 120mm smoothbore cannon. It must be known that the 120mm smoothbore cannon was the artillery used by the current main battle tanks, and its power could be imagined. But this was not the most surprising thing. The most surprising thing was that it was actually a rifled cannon. In the world of artillery, the smoothbore cannon was the most powerful, but the accuracy was low. The accuracy of the rifled cannon was very high, but the power was low. But the Thunderhorse Military Factory's Hellhound actually had the two advantages of the power of the smoothbore cannon and the accuracy of the rifled cannon. How is this possible? No one in this world could do this. What are you bragging about? The artillery expert of Shinjo Industry Group finally couldn't help it. His voice was very loud. You said that the power of the Hellhound cannon is no less than that of a 120mm smoothbore cannon. You're carrying a tank on your shoulder. Do you know how much recoil a tank has when it fires a shell? You give me a shot and see. When a tank fires a shell, the entire tank will shake. And a tank weighs dozens of tons. How can a person resist such a big recoil? It's impossible. Charlotte didn't care. He smiled. You'll see. Otherwise, do you think I called you here to watch me fly into the sky? The audience laughed. Charlotte picked up a shell from the wooden box. It was only the size of a small mortar shell, but it weighed 10 pounds. It was indeed different. Picking up the shell, Charlotte pressed on the support device at the back of the cannon, and a small hatch suddenly opened on the support device. He put the shell in, and the hatch closed automatically. The sound of mechanical operation came from the support device. It was obviously the sound of the shell being loaded. Charlotte opened the infrared aiming device at the front of the muzzle, and a beam of red light shot toward the opposite hill. The target, made of concrete and steel, stood on the top of the hill, about 2,500 meters away from the target. The audience was quiet, and everyone was waiting to see the result of the firing. Some people were waiting to witness a miracle, and some people were waiting to witness a tragedy. But without waiting for Charlotte to fire, Sherborin quickly walked to the stage, and a big hand pressed on the other side of Charlotte's shoulder. Charlotte, let someone else fire. Charlotte smiled and said, It's okay, Mr. Sure. Don't I know what I'm making? Sherborin lowered his voice. Kid, don't you think about the consequences? If something happens to you, what will happen to the Thunder Horse Arms factory? And what about that thing? Charlotte knew very well that Sherborin was talking about the X-Secret Gold Project. He said, It's okay. Mr. Sure, step back a little, I'm going to fire. You kid. Sherborin stared at Charlotte, but he couldn't do anything to him. At this time, Tang Yuyin also walked quickly. Charlotte hurriedly said, Masato, put on the earmuffs. Ryu Youngnam then put the special earmuffs on Charlotte's head, covering his ears. Charlotte, wait. Tang Yuyin quickened her pace, looking very anxious and worried. Charlotte didn't wait for her to go on the stage. He aimed the infrared ray at the target and then pressed the button of the firing device. Boom! A loud explosion rang out as a shell shot out from the barrel of the Hellhound cannon, drawing a straight line of fire through the air. In the blink of an eye, there was suddenly a burst of fire and thick smoke on the opposite hill. The sound wave, the vibration, it was really like a tank had fired at that place. The target was blown up. Although the target was 2,500 meters away, there were cameras that captured the scene of it being hit and blown up, and it was transmitted to many monitors on the shooting range. These scenes were replayed over and over again, but no one said a word even after they were replayed several times. The entire shooting range was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. What surprised people wasn't only the terrifying power of the Hellhound cannon, but also its recoil. With the range and power when it was fired just now, Charlotte would have to fly back at least 10 meters, if not dozens of meters. However, Charlotte was still standing on the stage, just taking a step back. Not to mention shattering his shoulder, not even a piece of his skin was scratched. His jaw dropped. This is really strange. The artillery expert of Shinjo Industry Group was stunned for a long time before he said a sentence. Until this moment, his mental state was still like he was sleepwalking. Mu Jianfeng, in Yi Kuan's mental state, was no longer sleepwalking, but blank. Not to mention anything else. Just the advent of this hellhound cannon was enough to make Thunder Horse Military Factory's artillery technology the best in the world. The scene on several monitors suddenly switched to the moment when Charlotte fired the cannon. This group of footage was played in slow motion. In this group of footage, it was clearly seen that the moment Charlotte fired the cannon, a metal tube ejected from the rear end bracket of the hellhound cannon. It fell to the ground with the shell. The metal tube was squeezed and deformed, like a wire that had been twisted many times. No one knew where it came from. Charlotte's voice rang through the audience again. "Everyone, did you see that? This is our Thunder Horse Military Factory's Hellhound Cannon. It uses the shock absorption system of the Gale assault rifle, but it is more powerful and advanced. Each shot consumes a shock absorption rod. It is this shock absorption rod that absorbs most of the recoil, and I am safe. Its cost is very low, only 500 yuan per rod. One shell, one shock absorption rod, and our soldiers can snipe a tank at a distance of 2 kilometers. And how expensive anti-tank missiles are on the market now. You should know in your heart, right?" Still no one spoke. Charlotte smiled. "Okay, today's demonstration will end here. Distinguished guests, please move to our Thunder Horse Military Factory's cafeteria. We have prepared a banquet to celebrate the birth of the Hellhound Cannon. Who would want to eat his work meal?" For Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan, eating dragon meat at this moment was no longer delicious. Not to mention a banquet to celebrate the birth of the Hellhound Cannon. The visitors dispersed, discussing as they walked. Without a doubt, the news of the Hellhound Cannon's appearance would sweep the world like a storm from here. The Thunder Horse Military Factory's tank and defense system workshop had not yet been put into production, but just the cannon technology had already sent a strong signal to the world. The wolf is coming. Charlotte walked to Long Bing. Long Bing smiled at him. Walking to Long Bing's side, Charlotte lowered his voice. "Go in. Thank you for your inspiration." Long Bing, who was rarely shy, suddenly blushed. She rolled her eyes at Charlotte. "If you say it again, you can go in." Her shy expression, this kind of words, Charlotte couldn't help but feel his heart skip a beat. Long Bing suddenly whispered, "Boss sure is coming." Charlotte turned around and saw Sherborin walking towards him. Before Sherborin came over, Long Bing took the initiative to step aside. "Kid, you're good." Sherborin reached out and patted Charlotte's shoulder. "You did what you said. This time you made a great contribution again. Tell me, what kind of reward do you want?" Charlotte smiled. "How about giving me a 10 million bonus?" Sherborin suddenly frowned. "You still have a nerve to ask me for money? Are you short of money? You have a net worth of tens of billions. The money you casually spent on a woman, I can't earn it in my life. And you still have a nerve to ask me for money?" Okay, boss, sure. Just pretend I didn't say anything." Charlotte felt like he had moved a stone and dropped it on his own foot. "Just like that?" Sherborin looked at Charlotte covetously. Charlotte smiled bitterly. "How about this? I still have a bottle of Lafite red wine in my office. It's yours." Sherborin smiled. "That's more like it." Charlotte was somewhat speechless. A bottle of Lafite red wine worth 100,000 disappeared for no reason. However, it was actually an honor for a person like Sherborin to ask him for a bottle of wine. If it was someone else, not to mention a bottle of red wine, even if it was 10 million, they still wouldn't want it. "Kid, what are you going to do next?" Charlotte said. "Mass production of the Hellhound artillery, completion of the construction of the tank and defense system workshop. I want to build the Thunder Horse Military Factory into the world's most powerful military enterprise step by step." Sherborin laughed and said, "Kid, just because of what you said, I will give you whatever support you want in the future." Charlotte then realized why Sherborin inexplicably asked him for a bottle of red wine. This was a sign of goodwill. This was also the first time Sherborin had shown goodwill to him. It had never happened before. That's right. Sherborin was such an upright and outspoken person. How could he be greedy for a bottle of red wine? However, he also understood that if he hadn't crossed the previous hurdle, and there was no success of today's Hellhound artillery, Sherboran would not have shown goodwill to him like this. Everyone has a picture. This was also good, establishing a better relationship with Sherboran. He could better take care of and protect Long Bing and Liang Xiao. Let's go, boss. Sure. We will have a few drinks later, Charlotte said with a smile. Ha, good. Sherboran's laughter was very unpleasant to hear. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.